Hello, Keith Callum, Melbourne, Australia. And we have something very, very, very different today. We are doing a YouTube special edition. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is YouTube has 2 billion users. We thought we'd try getting some kudos there. Two, I think it's sensible to have a backup, just in case the site that you like goes down for the day, or they change the rules, or they put up the price. And I think it's just always very sensible to have a backup. So we are multi-streaming, but in reality, we're only live streaming because we're only sending it to YouTube today as an experiment. And we normally send it to a LinkedIn, as you know, but today we're going to do something very, very different. If you do have any questions, I'd love you to comment on that. So please comment on YouTube if you've got the format. I'm going to be working in the back channel to send this to everyone so they can comment. I'd love to get to 100 comments today. But let's play this YouTube game. Why do you think, or do you think, it's good to have a backup to YouTube, to LinkedIn? And can you imagine using YouTube as part of your strategy? I'll take the ladies first route, America, if you don't mind. Lachelle, what do you think about YouTube as a live streaming strategy? And do you do it? What's your take on it?
Well, I think it is always good to keep your options open. I do live stream on YouTube, but it's one of those audiences that I believe you have to curate. So
Okay,
it's
yeah.
good to provide a catalog of content. I have like over 500 videos, and they may not all be optimized because I was focused on building the content as opposed to um, making sure that people were there live to view it. So I think it depends on what your goal is at the time. I think if you are doing relevant content, it's always going to be important for people to view it, whether they see it live or later on. So I think depending on your audience and if it is something that's time sensitive, that it's important to make sure that that audience is curated for that. But I think it still requires you to still promote. I think a lot of people look at certain platforms and see how expansive they are with the number of people, but there's so many elements to what is your title? Do you have the right thumbnail? All these different things, right?
Yeah. And you've got a friend there, Lachelle at Summer D.
Summer. Hey, Summer. Yeah, I just sent her the link.
That's working. So, what one thing you mentioned is very important, very, very important. Like, I want you to even sit down and when you hear these numbers. So, YouTube has 2 billion users. 1/4 of the planet uses LinkedIn, YouTube probably every day. 2 billion people. But the most important stat, which is mind-boggling, is that 518,000 hours, which is 4 years of content, is loaded to YouTube every day. 518,000 hours. Right now, there's a couple of reasons why this is a very important number. One is I don't want you to beat yourself up if you're getting 8 views on your YouTube video, because there's 518,000 other people doing videos today. We're competing with a large number. But the second most important thing is that YouTube is like this big library. So it doesn't absolutely matter if people don't come today, because this will now become a resource. And I'll work you through how we've done this so you can do it yourself. This will now become a resource for people who want to live stream on YouTube. So if anyone says to you, do you know how to live stream on YouTube? Yeah, I went on this show last week with Keith. He tells you how to do it. This will now become a resource for everyone from now on that wants to restream or live stream onto YouTube. So the way we do it is we use Restream.io. and you can send that file to many, many places, one of which is YouTube. So YouTube has got to be part of your strategy because it's got 2 billion users. But don't just spray and pray. You know, you've got to milk it. You've got to work it. You've got to play the game. And Lynn, do you play around with YouTube? You said today that it's one of the ones that you want to get better at, and you've heard a lot about. What's your take on YouTube?
Well, it's funny that we're all here on YouTube. I just happened to pull up my YouTube, and the video that I had out, and mind you, I don't do anything really with YouTube. I was in the process of just opening up my channel, and now I see that I had 42 views. So woohoo! So I was impressed.
42 real people. Look, let's be very clear. Imagine yourself in a room with 42 people.
Right.
Now, that's 42 real people. It might be 21 people that viewed it twice, or the one person very diligently viewed it 42 times, but it's probably a combination. And I want to give you a really clear story. I went into the city. It takes me an hour to get into the city. And I spoke at this event, and there was my name on a poster and a big picture of me, and 8 people came. It took me an hour to get into the city. It took me an hour to get out of the city, and I spoke for an hour, well, in a combination with a panel of other people. And I'm thinking, that's 3 hours of my life, and 8 people saw it. 8. You just said, out of nowhere, with no preparation, 42 people saw your video. Mm-hmm. That's like 5 times more online, right? So let's play that game in real life. Imagine 42 people in a room. You've got to hire the room. They've got to come. You've probably got to serve them coffee and cake. And you do get to shake their hand and look in their eyes. But it's a lot of work. And so YouTube is this miracle that allows us to talk to the world. I've met a new person called Summer today. I don't know if we're connected on LinkedIn, but please connect with me on LinkedIn. And I've now met a new person. We might become friends and work together, and she might come on my show, and she may have a show we can go on. And let's find out more about that. Lachelle, what does Summer do? Do you want to give us some kudos?
Well, yeah, Summer actually is my co-founder with a club that we have on Clubhouse called the Elephant Strategy. She is phenomenal. We are now doing a 21-day book challenge. Journal challenge that she's leading in our club at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I believe we're on day 15. So we're doing 21 days. That's how we started our club. But the phenomenal thing about her is that she is a pancreatic cancer survivor. 7 years ago, she was given a 9% chance to live. And she's 7 years cancer-free. And she is passionate about helping other cancer patients, during that journey, helping them to, do affirmations and just talking to them and sharing her experience to encourage them during their journey. So, yeah, she's amazing. And she's an artist. She's a phenomenal artist. She paints, and I could go on and on. We're like sisters.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to have her on the show. We can have up to 5 people online at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, Summer, would you want to come on? And it's just audio.
Yeah, it's just audio like with your thumbnail. So, and
yeah,
OG Mike, waves to Summer, Keith, Americo, and Lachelle on YouTube. Who knew? Who knew? OG Mike. So we're trying this experiment. And look, there's a couple of things I want to say here. One is, if there are indeed 518,000 hours listed on YouTube every day, someone at YouTube's going to say one day, hang on, hang on, we can't hold all of that. So they're going to do one of 2 things. One is they're going to charge you to hold their stuff, or they're going to delete it, which is already starting to happen. So several sites have said, look, there's so much stuff going on. We are deleting material after 30 days. This has already started happening. So imagine if we did this really good show and we love it and everyone's having a great time and there's so much resources and everyone gets together and we just have that moment. And then 31 days down the track, it goes away. That doesn't seem fair. But there's so much. There's so much. So having a backup, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, X, whatever you want, Go Brunch, and all of these. We'll do shows about all of these in due course. It's very, very, very important. And you've said this many times, Americo, that the replays are really the golden zone for you because we have great times live. But these shows, and if I want to take a bit of the song, we're going to talk about AI today. Be seen, be heard, be remembered. The replays go on forever. I'm just trying to channel my inner Katy Perry. The replays go on forever. So we wrote a whole song about this. But you've got live streaming, and that's fun. We're having funky times. But these replays live on the internet. And we are creating miracles, man. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us what you're doing with all this, and what are you thinking about the YouTube variation?
Well, while the three of you were discussing, I was pulling up some stats, and in the past we've shared with our listening audience when it comes to LinkedIn lives, the average view is 8 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So YouTube, having a larger audience, having a larger volume, the average of a 20-minute show is in around the 5-minute mark. So still a decent amount. And when you compare it to, and you do a search, which I just conducted, what is the average view time of a written post? 1.7 seconds. So you're still ahead, even at 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll bring up this stat. We love stats, and we love proving that this stuff's working. Americo found this amazing stat that on LinkedIn, is particularly, but I would say this would be working with YouTube as well. Look at the spike. Look at the spike that the actual live events are getting compared to other types of content. In this case, on LinkedIn. About 10 times more. Where did you get this stat, man? Let's play this out. This is fact. This is someone's interpretation of what's happening right now on the internet when you want to get noticed. 10 times more engagement on a live event than on an image generated post. Let's have that chat.
So the research was done via ChatGPT. I kept asking questions about engagement based by content format, content style, and the sources. I can dig up the sources that had this published. Had virtual events leading in all cases. So 6.5% is the next highest engagement rate, average engagement rate. And that's the carousel, which has gained a lot of popularity. But 6.5% compared to the 41% for live events.
You did a poll about this, and so did I. The average person on LinkedIn just posts because posts are easy. 68% of people on LinkedIn just post because that's what they do. But they last about a minute and a half, and there's about 1 billion of them every day. 66% of people. Only 14% of people say, you know what, I'm going to do an event because it's a bit harder, but it lasts longer. And so it's all about effort, isn't it? If you're going to go,
absolutely.
If you're going to go to the effort, you want a return.
You want a return on that investment of time.
Yeah.
You want to gain a longer tail. You want to gain more engagement, and you want that investment to pay back. And sometimes it pays back with engagement. Sometimes it pays back with, a possible customer. No, at no point have we pitched on our shows. This is social selling. We're having a discussion. We're educating our audience, and those who resonate with what we're saying, they reach out, and that happens organically. But the point I'm trying to get at is, if anything, this investment gives you, or gives any one of us, the opportunity to repurpose our voice and our message, whether it's through transcription, whether it's through shorts. Like, we've been experimenting with this for some time now. And each show that I host, I'm now uploading to Substack. Substack is, providing me shorts, which are automatically going to YouTube. Those shorts are then linked to my playlist. And my shorts, I just checked the last 2 shorts I put up, I got a couple hundred views.
Yeah. Now let's play out. I want to actually specifically do this. This is the YouTube special edition, because we're always experimenting. We are. And I'm going to ask a couple of questions today. One is, why YouTube? 2, what's your plan B? And 3, what's next? So what's next could be answered with Substack. We're going to have a big chat about Substack. It's a monster. Why YouTube is a very good question. And what's your plan B? And I'll start with you, America. You're sort of there now. How would you answer those 3?
Well, if we look at this from a corporate lens, and I don't want to, but it's a great analogy. Risk management. Corporations always plan contingencies. What is our contingency plan? And we have to do no different. We have to have a contingency plan, because things do change. Sometimes they change rapidly, and you have to be ready to adapt and adopt at or close to a little notice. We had, what was it, just over 30 days, or around 30 days, when LinkedIn announced that they were parting ways with the audio platform, their audio rooms.
10 days. We had 10 days notice.
Right. So we scrambled. We were early adopters, and we felt that there was an opportunity. It's like, while everyone is stewing and contemplating how much they hated the decision, we just laced up our sneakers, and we started running towards the next big thing, and adopting and adapting. So we were quick to act, while others were reacting to the announcement. And that's really, part of change management. You have to be an early adopter, because the laggards get left behind, and they'll have no choice but to join the rest of us. But why be the last person joining? Because by the time you're open to the fact that the old way of doing things isn't coming back, and you just have to conform to the way things are being done now, something new is just around the corner.
Yeah. It's a very, very good example. I might bring Bez in here, because he hasn't had a bit of a chat. G'day, mate. How you doing? Tell us what you're thinking about the YouTube. Tell me your take on YouTube. What's your take on YouTube?
Well, I'm a big fan of YouTube. Always have been. I don't know what to tell you. It's like, especially for things that they're doing with podcasts, they're making podcasts highly discoverable like never before. And if it's changing the game on podcasting. So just something to be aware of, because before it was hard to find a podcast. Discoverability was never a strong suit of many podcasting platforms. So
yeah.
Well,
what's your take on why YouTube?
YouTube has always, my thing about them is they've always been creator friendly. They had a creator program before people decided to have a creator program, right? They were always paying their personalities, their creators, and with ad revenue and giving them opportunities to make good money. You see creator programs come and go because they run out of money. They're funded for a certain amount of time, like a test, and then they abandon the creator. And YouTube, it's just steady Eddie. I mean, it's constantly. I mean, you see people who figure out YouTube, make some very good money, and the other people are just trying to play catch up or me too. And here we have YouTube constantly every year in and out, doing their creators right. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're not perfect, and I'm about to start my journey there. But I'll tell you this: when you compare it to other programs, you see a lot of them try to emulate YouTube. But
It's
they have a hard time. Yeah.
What about Plan B? You and I, you've known me for a long time, and you saw me almost shrivel up and die when Twitter was invaded,
Right.
and became X. I nearly shriveled up and died. I nearly went away. A guy with 58,000 followers suddenly overnight became nothing.
Mm.
I'm not nothing. I'm pretty happy with who I am, but my online presence just sort of fell out the window.
Right.
And I'm thinking, that's never happening to me ever again, ever. I'm never doing that again. So I created this hashtag in 2023. What's your plan B for 2023? And for me, it was LinkedIn. But I'm interested. What's your plan B? What's your main game? And where do you sort of channel people separately for sort of sensibility?
So my game has always been LinkedIn, and that's where I grow. Right now, I have to go through and accept 200 plus people that requested to connect, so I've got to catch up. So I see growth there, right? And interestingly enough, for the last month or so, I've sort of taken a little bit time off, and I'm still growing. So it's interesting. I haven't been intentional now. Where I'm going to, a few areas I'm going to experiment on. Actually, there is one area where I'm headed to, and that's email. I'm going to grow my email list by hook or crook. I'm going to make it work, Keith, and I'm going to figure it out. Right.
Oh man, if you work it out, I'll do a special show for you.
Okay. All right. You're on. Right now I have 0 on my email list. Let's see where I'm at in 30 days.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's what I'm going to work on. And then I am going to experiment with Substack. That's very fascinating because we have Notepad Pomo coming up in November. So Jennifer Navarrete always advocate simple things to use that don't cost anything. And I think Substack might be that one, just to do, like a series of a podcast. And so, yeah, that's where I'm going to give it a shot.
Let's have this discussion, this show, and please jump in if you've got any questions at all you want us to ask. YouTube is a great plan B, 2 billion users and 500,000 hours of content every day. But Substack, I'll talk about this in a minute, mate. It's a mind-bending stat. But Substack is the one that everyone's talking about. It's the one that's it's the one that has the most potential right now. 50 million users already using it, but so many very, 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 very cool features. Let me just see if I can make that into a song. Very, 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 very cool features.
Yes, sir.
That could be my next AI experiment. But I'll tell you about that in a minute. But Americo, tell us about Substack. Plan B should be Substack in the short term. I'm going to give everyone a turn to talk about this, but you're doing it. Tell me what Substack does for those that haven't heard of it and why you love it.
So if versatility is your backup and you want to have something to fall back on that is both written, audible, and visual, Substack is game-changing. I am now uploading my events onto Substack, and the community there is able to watch, listen. I can upload it. If I set up a creator account as Spotify, I can broadcast it as a podcast. It automatically suggests, and with great precision, I must add. Shorts that are versatile and can be used in multiple platforms. So you can pair it up with your Meta footprint, with YouTube, with LinkedIn, and it looks sharp. It is on point. I haven't had to make any edits on any of their suggestions.
Let me pick up on this. This if you haven't tried this is the reason to try Substack. Substack creates these short, really well edited videos that start at a point which is natural and end at a point which is natural. You couldn't have done a better job yourself, could you?
No, and if you could, you have to contemplate how much time would it have taken me to get it as good as what they're suggesting.
It just starts at a natural point in the conversation and stops at a natural point. So it's not cutting out halfway through. It's not starting halfway through. So Substack.com. Let's have this discussion. Lachelle, have you heard of us talking about this? Is it on your radar, or are you just too busy? Can you imagine?
I've heard of Substack, but I haven't had time to dive into it. I think one of the cautions, I would say, around people who want to follow a lot of the, I don't want to say trends, but I think it's important to have your own core schedule of things that you do before you start jumping in with other things, because if you're not clear, you could end up being all over the place. So I love the point that you mentioned, how it can make it into different variations. But if you don't have a following with some variations, I think it's important to create a strategy before you start promoting that. So like if you say, okay, I usually go live, but I want to start a newsletter, so I want to have it in some kind of written form, really schedule out how you want to do that so that you don't get overwhelmed trying to do all things, and that you're able to engage with the new audiences that you attract with the different forms of content.
I love this discussion, the idea of strategy, and that enough is enough. What we know, and although America's getting different results to me, is that about 50% of the world currently loves video. Everyone seems to have a love affair with video, which is why there's so many AI generated video editors. So you're going to get 50% of your audience watching your videos. But what about the 25% of people that want to read what you've done? They're missing out. Right? You can't do everything for everyone, but about 25% of people want to read about it. They just want to print it out and read it on the train, or read it as a blog post. They might even get the paper. Right? Some people like to read, 25%. And 25% of people like audio. So you may not be able, without a team, you may not be able to do everything for everyone, but it's important to know where your audience is. And if your audience isn't a reading audience, you don't have to worry about blogging, because that's something you may not have time for and no one's reading it. Americo and I are statting this all the time. Like, we're statting this every day, because there's only one of me. And I don't like writing. And why would I spend 2 hours writing and when no one reads it, when I could be writing songs on Suno? I could be writing songs on Suno because I'm having so much fun doing that. And I'm having fun doing it. Even if no one listens to my songs, at least I'm having fun. And the song that we chose for Americo's theme song is now number 1 on the Keith Keller AI charts on KKFM. KKFM is actually a real station, so I shouldn't say that. But I can't get the URL. But KKFM, the AI chart, the number 1 song is the Radio Pop Mix that was created in honor of Americo. So you're very, very, very right, Lachelle. We have to have some strategy, because there is so much going on that we cannot do it all, probably even with a team.
If I can share an example to kind of echo what Lachelle is sharing with us, and this is a real life example. When I stepped away and embarked on this creator journey, I found myself struggling to come up with content. What am I going to talk about? One day would be one subject, like coming from a cross-functional area of expertise, every day I wanted to talk about something different, and learned the hard way, despite others telling me it's like, yeah, not advisable, because you're just throwing words and there's no niche, there's no focus, there's no strategy behind it. But I felt, I was going to be different. And it took me a year to realize, like, all right, we got to pedal this back. And when I made the pivot to go live, I learned, wow, why are my shows competing with my written content? And to your point, Lachelle, it was a lack of strategy, but more important, a lack of clarity. So I had to put my marketing hat on and say, I need to deliver a omni-channel experience so that no matter where my audience shows up, whether it's print, whether it's audio, or whether it's video, the message is the same. And the minute that happened, the stars aligned, the skies opened up, and I felt a sense of relief because I no longer had to come up with written content that no one was reading. So my written content comes from transcriptions and comes from my shows, comes from comments from my community, my audio clips, my shorts. Everything is centered around the show and the content, and it's built outwards to build hype, to build awareness and consideration for others to come to the community. But it's all the same message no matter where you show up.
I think
and that is now starting to pay dividends.
It's so important because, and you use the word. I heard you on a conversation yesterday. You use the word vanilla.
Yes.
One of the things that will happen with AI, we're going to talk about Suno in a minute because it's here. It's an AI device. Is that we're going to be starting to listen to the songs on the radio, and we won't know if it's real because they sound so good. But they sound so good in a sea of other same goods, what my wife calls the sea of sameness. Everything sounds the same and looks the same. It's all good, but it's all samey. There's no individuality, right? And that's good because you end up looking and sounding like everyone else. So you're at a level, but no one stands out. No one takes any notice. It just goes into a wash. So by focusing on what you do, you will become known for that. Like, I'm never going to be known as a writer because I don't like writing, and I'm not going to do it. So I don't want to be known as a writer, and I don't want to be lumped into some sort of AI-generated writing frenzy just to get writing out because people say I should do it. I don't want to do it. But what I love doing is these radio shows and making little songs up. Right? That's going to be my thing, right? And so if people want that thing, there's 8 billion people, so there's plenty of choices. 2 billion of them on YouTube, 1 billion of them on LinkedIn. People will find you when you are doing your thing. People want authenticity, don't they? They don't want you to just do what everyone else is doing and come across as there he is on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and Meta, or all these Meta products and TikTok, and suddenly you're no one to no one. I'm exaggerating to make a point, but we can come back to Suno in a minute because Suno is here. Suno is an AI-generated songwriting tool, unlike anything I've ever come across in my whole life. It quite literally has changed my life. I'll talk about that in a minute. I don't work for this company. It's $10 a month. I pay to use it. Have you heard of this site, Bez? Have you heard me talking about it? And what's your take on AI-generated music? Bez is putting the dogs to sleep.
Well, I'm sorry. I was getting I'm a fan of AI generated music. I think um what it sparks creativity. Now I also honor the creators that may not like it, but I think at the end of the day, if you're able to get the creative juices flowing, and Key, from your standpoint, you're quite the virtuoso. Then I didn't know it, and you've been doing some stuff that is crazy good that you're afraid to release it. So I mean, imagine if you didn't have it, how long it would take you to you know write some music.
Well,
So
I would
I
argue, Bez,
think
I would argue because I've done it. I would argue that
yes.
I wrote songs in the 90s. I wrote them. I had a
Mm,
really horrible day job, which I really hated. But on the weekends and at nights and early in the morning and every spare minute of my life, I wrote songs, by candlelight with a piano in the corner, and never.
mhm,
That's probably a testament to my talent or lack thereof. But I did music for 10 years. Never did I do a song this good, right?
mhm,
Because I didn't have the tools. Like, I went to a studio and paid someone $300 and I said, here's the song that I want it to sound like. And here's my song. Can you take this song and make it sound like that? He says, well, I can't. He used the excuse, well, it's not a very good song. But really, he didn't have the tech. I mean, I was able
right.
to make that song sound like I wanted it to sound in 1993 with a piece of tech that cost me $10. I was able to do that. He didn't. He couldn't because he didn't have the tech. So
Mhm,
AI is here. Right? It's here to stay. And I'm really sitting on the fence with where I go with this because I can make songs sound like anything. I can't.
mm,
Suno can.
right,
But
right.
I'm getting really, really, really good at prompting it. And I probably should set this up as a URL. But what happened, just to set the tone, because a lot of you probably weren't on this call, where I was doing this impromptu open mic idea with Americo about 2 weeks ago because one of his guests didn't show up, and he kept mentioning be seen, be heard, be remembered. I said, mate, we should write a song about that. Be heard, be seen, be remembered. Who do you want it to sound like? Well, let's get this sort of Journey, Don't Stop Believing vibe going. Be seen, be heard, be remembered. I said, okay, I can do that. So I punched that's it. I punched those words into Suno and I said, knock yourself out. And it created this song, which is actually all right. Not very good, but okay. And then I said, okay, well, let's put the chorus at the front and we'll segment that out and we'll change those words a bit. And I'll ask the Suno to make it harmony vocals in the choruses. I want the harmonies to be really sort of 3-point harmony, 3-part harmony, 1, 3, 5. Okay, I can tell it that. And then suddenly it comes out with this song. There's no way in the world I would have written this on my own. I mean, I'm just standing there going,
Okay.
man, I feel like I'm in an arena with 100,000 people and everyone's shouting my name. And I thought, this is a dream come true. This is like an 18-year-old kid's dream. I did gigs, but with like about 4 people in the audience. Did several Battle of the Bands and gigs on a Wednesday night. No one came because no one's heard of me. But I got this song to sound like I could have been in an arena rock band with 100,000 people screaming, "Hey, we love you!" And I thought, this is a dream come true. Cost me $10. I mean, it's hard to imagine that stuff going away when it's so good and so affordable. The challenge is, as Americo often says, is that everything's going to sound vanilla now. Everything's going to sound the same because it's all good. Yeah. Um,
Well, I mean, different people make it sound different. I mean, you're probably different in how you make things sound. But think about this. Let's say you want to do a podcast intro and outro. Now that gives you something. I know for sure there's people out there using Suno for uh, intros and outros. I've heard it because it has a Suno sound to it.
In the
Right?
same way that ChatGPT has that look about it, doesn't it? When you do images
Right.
with DALL-E, we all know what the
Mhm.
look of DALL-E is. It's got all that. They've made that image with DALL-E. So the same thing, that they've made that sound, that song with Suno. Now, this is a very important point. I was so inspired and confronted by how accurate this is that I had several sleepless nights last week playing around with the ethics of this. And what I decided was I'm going to embrace it as an experiment because it's there. But I'm really interested in this question. What makes a good song? What makes your favorite song good? Right now, we each have our own favorite song or our own favorite band. And I might even do this live on the show. You could show me a band and I could make my song sound like your favorite band. I know how to do that now. Like that's sort of a strange talent that I've developed. But if you can tell me what the name of your band is, I can make my song sound like your band. Now, I don't know if there's a need for that. Don't know if that's a sort of a quantifiable topic to talk about, but it's a skill that I have now. So it made me realize that music's made up of several components. One is it the words? Is it the words that make up a good song? Is it great music? Because some music that I love doesn't have words. Most of my favorite songs are actually instrumentals. I love this guy called Joe Satriani, just this kick-ass guitarist. I could listen to his stuff all day. He never has a single word in his songs. So that's still a song.
What, you like Joe Satriani? I
Joe
love him.
Satriani is my I listen to that all the time. It's just
Wow.
instrumental music that just makes me feel good. And sometimes I find the words a distraction. I'll talk about this in a minute because my wife wants to go and see Linkin Park. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. But or is it a melody? Is it the words and the music wrapped into a melody that's memorable? Or is it really a combination of all three? And if it is a combination of all three, then that means that every song is unique. If it's made by AI, it's not, because then you just pump it into an algorithm and it pumps it out again. But there's enormous potential for people to say, I don't know if I like that melody. Can you try it again with the sort of funky 80s dance beat thing? Like, I've got a version of the song that sounds exactly the same as Flock of Seagulls. Several people on this call probably won't even remember them, but they had a hit in 1982. Flock of Seagulls, the quintessential hair band.
Yeah.
Now I've got one of my songs sounds exactly the same as them.
Play it.
I'm going to send this. I'll share the playlist with people. I can't get it to play on this in this configuration. Can't get it to play on this configuration. It just sounds crap. But what I've worked out is that is it the melody? And I want to have this discussion. I've sent you all the poll. What do you think, Bez? Is it the melody? Is it the words? Is it the music, or is it a combination? What do you think, Bez? What's your favorite song and why do you love it?
Oh man, I have so many. I don't know if I have a favorite song. It's like, that would be whack-a-mole for me. One of my early favorite songs was Working Man by Rush. Yeah. But and then there's a whole slew of Rush songs that I like. But then it depends with the mood I in. Like last night I was in the mood to to listen to some Bee Gees. Man, I could listen to that falsetto all day long,
Meaningless songs in
right?
very high voices and whatever that means.
I mean, what was there? I think last night when I was trying to go to sleep, I put that and
How Deep Is Your
what was
Love?
the famous song?
How Deep Is Your Love?
Yes, that one. Yes. Oh man, that was like just hit the mood. It's just so easy.
Let me. All right, I'll while we're having some fun, I haven't tried this one yet, but I'm going to try and make "Be Seen, Be Heard, Be Remembered" in a 70s Bee Gees Saturday Night Fever type vibe. Now that's a challenge.
Yes.
No, that's a skill. I mean, no one's going to be able to do that. But let me have a go. I'm going to do that in the background. I would never have thought of that. Bee Gees 70s vibe. Imagine me in long white pants. Disco 1977. Keith Travolta.
Yeah.
Just imagine that. So this is where the creativity comes in. I mean, because we have this tool at our disposal, we can now say, and several tools, but this is the one we're talking about right now. Because we have this tool at our disposal, we can now take what might have been completely out of limits for us because we can't play an instrument or we can't sing that well or we can't write lyrics very well or all three. And I can now I'll take the radio pop version of our song, which has had like 70 views, 70. I mean, it's a number. 70 people have listened to that song. That's me being 10 times, so it's 60 other people. And Americo maybe another 10 times, so probably 50 real people or 50 different people. But I'm going to take that song and I'm going to make it a Bee Gees version, and I'm going to challenge myself to make it spot on. I can do it. I know I can do it. The question is that ethical? But let's see if we can do it while we're all chatting. What do you think, America? What makes a great song? Is it lyrics? Is it music? Is it the melody of the harmony and the chorus, or is it all three all put together?
For me, it's a mix. Sometimes you listen to the lyrics and you give your head a shake. It's like, yeah, great lyrics. Just it doesn't tie or doesn't fit with the beat and the rhythm, and other times it's like, wow, this all comes together so eloquently. So I would lean towards it being a mix.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think a great song gets all of them right. But we come. I don't. A lot of people probably wouldn't know this, but please tell me if your experience of this. But there's several ways to write songs. Sometimes with the band, a guy in the band would come into the studio with a riff. Hey, I got this riff. Yep. Okay, let's jam on that riff. And then the singer would go away and he'd write lyrics to that riff. This is the most common way to write songs in a band. You start with the music and you write lyrics over the top. That's the most common way. Another way to do it is I got these lyrics. Okay, well, just sing them how you think they should sound. And then we'll create a riff around that. So the lyrics come first, and then you fit the lyrics into a musical setting. And the third way is that someone who's very, very clever comes with the whole song. Hey, I wrote this song. Here's the chords. Here's the music. I'm going to sing it. You play these notes. Okay, well, let's just riff on that. We're not riffing. We're just playing his song. That's the three most common ways that you write songs. Please tell me if there's any other ways. We'll try those as well. So with Suno, and the way that the people are using this, Suno writes the lyrics for you. Can you believe it? Suno writes the lyrics for you. And then you tell it what you want it to sound like. It's like this one-stop shop. $10 a month it is. $10. There's a free version, but the paid version is nothing. It's just astonishing. What do you think, Lachelle? What is your take on the perfect song? How do you
I think a combination, because there are songs that I like the words. There's some that, I just like the melody. Uh, and then, the ability to catch me repeating it, because there's songs that they are catchy, but they may not be your favorite. You just find yourself singing them, like certain holiday songs. They may not be your favorite. You might not have a memory with them, but something about the catchiness of it can kind of be a little bit to annoy you to the point that you're singing it all the time. So I think it just depends on, um, because there's some instrumental songs that I love the violin. I just recently got into this. Probably about 5 years ago. I had a son who had to play the violin for orchestra, and he was in it for a couple weeks, and he was like, "I'm done with this." And I was like, "No, you're not. When you start something, you finish." So I started finding all these different hip hop violinists and whatever to kind of keep him engaged. And he finished out the year, but I got hooked on the violin music. So I think it just depends on your mood, whichever one speaks to you at that moment. But I think the key about a song, just like a good book or a good story, is really being able to connect with the audience. And sometimes it's not that you love the song, but they still were able to connect with you because they have that strong, focused intention when they write the song. So that would be my answer.
It's very.
Here's a question for the group. Has there ever been a remake that has put an original song in shame? It's like, oh my God, I can't believe the original artist or the estate of this artist allowed for this to be recorded. Or in reverse order, what song would you say remake? It's like, wow, this puts the original to shame.
What about Zoot, Eleanor Rigby?
There's some oldies that are that way, that the original artist, and then when they redid it, was way better. And I can't remember what oldie it is, but all of you would know what it was. But there was a previous version of the song, and when they redid it, oh my goodness! And it's a classic now, but it's not original.
It's a new classic.
It's yeah.
Well, A Whole Lot of Love by Led Zeppelin is based on a Muddy Waters song.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was one of those, I think, from the 50s that everybody knows it, but if when you go back and that they actually remade that song from somebody else. I'll have to find it.
One of them that comes to mind for me is Whitney Houston's song, "I'll Always Love You." I think that was
Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton.
That was Dolly Parton or something.
Yeah.
Was that Dolly Parton?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I will always love you. Mm-hmm. That's my Elvis version.
Yeah, she was in that movie, The Bodyguard.
That's
right. It got really popular with that. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if it'd be better. It was just a different genre because I like Dolly Parton. So I don't know. But she just took a different spin on it, And I'm sure there's a lot of songs that people believe that it's the original version, but it was a country song and they made it hip hop, or it was hip hop and they made it country. There's so much of that goes on that we'd be surprised, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm working in the background here, but
fantastic. You keep working, and we'll carry the show while you put.
So this is a bit of a trick. This is actually the hack that Suno, how to use Suno. So I typed into ChatGPT, actually Copilot in this instance. How would you define the music of the Bee Gees? Copilot? AI talking to AI. I can define it, but how does AI define it? So they said that they have a very distinct vocal signature, and you'll love this, Bez, 3-part harmony and falsetto. Right.
Wow.
So that's their style. Some people don't even know what that means, but the point is that I know what it means and I can do it. So I've typed in the words to be seen, be heard, and I've written very distinct vocal signature, 3-part harmonies and falsetto. Right. Now, what comes back will be that. How close that will be to sounding like the Bee Gees remains to be seen. But the more prompting, this is why AI is so important. The more prompting you give it, the better the result. And Americo, tell me about this, because you were having trouble doing this. What did you pump into Suno, and what results were you getting?
So I started. It's funny you used Copilot, because towards the end I started doing the same, because I'm just intellectually my music expertise is, I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, kind of just below 0. I'll listen to music, but I can't tell you what's what. I can tell you it's rock. I can tell you what genre it is, but I couldn't tell you what specific era it might be from. So I went to Copilot, and same idea. What I wanted my song to sound like an 80s rock band, but select male vocals, and I've tried different variations, and the free output was vanilla. You could tell the same type of vibe, same type of sound that was unique on the free song. And then it gives you a sample. If you had Premium or Pro, here's like 20 or 30 seconds of what the Pro song would sound like. And it's night and day. So it's I would say their lead magnets, their marketing entices everyone to, you know what, for $10 you can't go wrong. And an amateur can go in, and with the assistance of AI, you enter a prompt, and you enter in, give me a 4-chord song, 3-part harmony from this era, sounding like this particular band, and it gets better. The samples that I'm getting are getting better. So it does take a little bit of engineering and playing around with the prompts, but still you could tell the quality between the free music that you can upload versus the pro music that they want you to buy into.
And that's the freemium version.
Yeah.
Hello, Get Ahead Marketing Solutions. I don't know if I know you yet, or do I? Who are you? But please connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm very happy to have you on the call. Does anyone know who this is? Get Ahead Marketing Solutions. Does anyone know that company?
No, I do not know who that is.
But you're very welcome to join us. Get Ahead Marketing Solutions.
Do not know.
In a way, that's very cool, because if you don't know them, that means that you LinkedIn is working, and we're reaching a diverse audience. Get Ahead Marketing Solutions. Let's see who that is. And while we're waiting for that, and hello, Sherry. What you had a question? Lachelle, about how do we make this all stand out? How do we stand out as hosts? Do you want to pick up on that idea?
Yeah. So, because as we think about migrating to different platforms, and one of the things that has helped with audio live events is the fact that, there used to be that platform on LinkedIn before they did away with it. So the concept is still familiar with people hearing your voice rather than actually seeing you in a virtual format or live. So the question that I would ask is, how do we help people? Because if they are thinking of migrating to another platform, what are some tips that we could give them for standing out? I think one of the things that comes to mind is building relationships, whether it is reaching out to support those that might be in the audience, on events that they might be having. So if they engage in yours, you engage in theirs. And I think, good old fashioned invitations. A lot of times we feel like because we post it, that everybody sees it. So America was on a podcast, I think it was last week. The days run together, y'all, so forgive me. But he was on with Kendra. So Kendra had sent me an invitation, and if she didn't send me that invitation, so much gets lost in the feed that even if you tag people, sometimes the tag doesn't go through, right? So I think it's important to be into that mode of just old fashioned engagement, helping people to be aware of the things that you have going on, and sharing things that are relevant. You might have a show every week, but for certain people, it might not be relevant. So I think being able to help them distinguish what things might be relevant for them, that makes them feel that whenever you do say something, that it's something that it's worth listening to.
I love this.
If
I
you're
love this discussion. America, do you want to pick up on this? We have done lots and lots of research into this. People say almost unanimously, please send me an email. This does not work for me, and I can't wait for Bez to work this out, because America and I have tried numerous times to get people to come to our shows by sending them emails, and they never do. Right? Never. But what do you think, America? What is work, and how do you get people to come to your shows and, in effect, do what they're told?
So I'd have to agree with Lachelle. Personal invitations, DMs work best. I like to stagger them out. Now that I've learned we have 1,000 invitations per week, I'll do a couple hundred each day leading up to the shows that I'm attending. This way it's staggered and gives enough time. But I also, we talk about the topic and the subject matter, and not everything we talk about might be relevant to everyone. So I now have gotten into the habit, when I have a guest, I will reach out to all my contacts in that guest's region, state, so that I'm at least getting an audience that's close enough to them. I then invite my community members who align either professionally or as an ideal customer. Now I'll ask, who would you like me to reach out to? Who can I introduce you to? Who can I invite so that you get the most value? Of course, I do that with good intention for small creators who are looking to build their community, and in anticipation that they help promote themselves as well. Seems a little bit tilted, but I guess we just got to get better at setting standards for what our guests should do for themselves to help with each show. But it's very strategic and very surgical. I no longer just send out random invitations. I'm starting to send them out with purpose and intent to make sure that I bring the right audience for the right subject matter, so that it's in lines with what Lachelle is doing and also suggesting.
Right, this is great. Now let me introduce Sherry. Sherry is a New Zealander who is actually from Taiwan. She does events all over the world, and I think at the moment she's in Hong Kong. How do you promote your events, Sherry, and what advice would you have for us for getting the word out about what you do?
I normally just promote on my own Facebook and yeah, just among people I know. Advice, I don't know. We're pretty different fields, but I think just like yeah, it's all the hard work, right? It's a lot of hard work involved, and I think if we can actually get AI to do a lot of the work, that would be actually be very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. We've been chatting a lot, and I don't think you were on the call, but we've been chatting about Substack. You have a Substack account. How are you using it? And let's that's because you use it in a different way than us. But how do you use it? Have you found it useful?
Well, I have only been using it mostly for my podcasts, so I'm not really publishing anything other than when I have a radio show that I've made ready, and then I put like the summary of the content there by hand. I mean, if AI can do that, that would be really awesome as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I talk about literary and works and poetry I share and music. A lot of it's actually my own performances,
Are
recordings.
they on YouTube?
Not at the moment because they're actually just audio. So I haven't quite worked out how audio works. Audio only works on YouTube.
Mm. Now, the reason I say this, and this is a very, very, very good hack. Jesus is a good hack. YouTube videos will give you a complete summary of the content on Google Notebook. So Google Notebook, which is probably my favorite site on the internet, separate maybe to Suno. You can take a YouTube video, however long it goes, and you can pump that YouTube video into Google Notebook, and it will give you an audio-only summary that goes 10 minutes, and it'll get you a written summary of the highlights. So you can actually punch in the YouTube video, the audio highlights, and you can pump in the transcript. So you're covering all bases: the original video on YouTube, the audio summary, and the transcript for those that want to read it. And you can tidy it up and make it look pretty and put dot points in as well. So Google Notebook is probably the biggest hack for sharing, and I know America knows a lot about this because we've had like miracle moments with that site, haven't we? Google Notebook.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how AI is able to take, in some cases, a 3-hour conversation, digest it, and compress it into a meaningful, and I mean meaningful, summary in 12 to 15 minutes. And that, just from an editing perspective, yes, it's not our natural voices, and maybe, with time, you can get our voices cloned, and it'll probably be a feature that they'll sell. Just get your voice cloned and make it sound like it's you, because it was your original conversation. But it is spectacular what it does, and it reels in that audience member who doesn't have 3 hours to sit and listen to a wonderful conversation, but is willing to give up to 15 minutes to hear a summary. And that's what Keith's doing with these conversations.
And I even did that with your remember Sherry, I even did that with your conversations we had last year. I did an audio summary, what they call the deep dive. And the basic principle, and it's very important that we know this, that it's not real. Like, it's hard to tell sometimes. The very important point is that with a Google Notebook, it's a guy and a girl talking on a pseudo breakfast show, and you can imagine yourself listening in the car on the way to work. And it's not real, but it is a very, very, very good, but somewhat generic summary of what we've talked about on the show. Now, if you can deal with that, with a guy and a girl talking in the computer generated voice, it is miraculous. I think it's miraculous because you get the information. Of course, you don't get my voice, but you get the information in 5 minutes when we actually spoke for 4 hours. Now, you don't have 4 hours to chunk through all of the good stuff. But as you said, Americo, it's amazingly accurate in its sort of dissection of what happened, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And just from a diversity perspective, if I'm not mistaken, it already exists in some shape or form. But you can now translate. Hey, you know what? I want to translate this to the Asian, South Asian, whatever ethnic background. Let's translate this from English to Hindi, English to whatever language, and it'll do it. So for people with a global audience, that tech is there. I see it coming across my social feed. The earphones. I don't know if anyone's ever seen these earbuds that are being sold that translate in real time.
Yeah, I haven't seen those, but I can imagine they'd exist. And imagine you were born in Portugal. Imagine
Right.
if you did a homecoming tour and you went to Lisbon. And you think, well, look, I know I was born in Portugal, but I can't speak Portuguese. Why don't I just take one of my TED Talks or my blog posts and I'll translate it into Portuguese ahead of my Portuguese tour? Just say, I'm not going to learn Portuguese just to go to Portugal for 3 days, but I'm happy to go there and talk because they can speak English. But why don't we just do something for the Portuguese audience? Maybe it's cheating, but it's better than nothing. Because you're not going to learn Portuguese in 3 days just so you can have a bit of a chat on Portuguese radio. You're just not going to. You just won't be available. That just won't be available. So
Right.
It's not like you're cheating. You're giving yourself another option, and that's a very good example.
There used to be professional translators, and I'm sure that's a dying art with AI moving into that space.
Not a chance.
You don't think so?
I mean, yeah, because it's too culturally sensitive, different regions.
Yeah.
So now it can help. It can help the normal, the tourists and things like that. But I don't even here in where I live. They're very scared to take something that Google puts out there and translate it. And I even say, hey, try something you're not trying. I use Microsoft Word is very good because they have they've been localizing. They have their products in over 100 languages, and people don't realize that Microsoft is really good at it. So I said, hey, try using Microsoft Word. You'd be surprised. There's some tools that are really good, but you still have to put the final touch. Just like when you do AI prompting and you get an output, but you have to give it the last 20% hug, right? So it's the same thing with what you're talking about. There's a difference between translating and interpreting. Interpreting is like someone speaking and it's live, or it doesn't have to be live. It could be through phone or something, but it's a verbal thing. Translating is the written word. I hope I've got them right. Sometimes I get them mixed up.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I believe you do have them right.
Okay. Because my wife's
different dialects that
yes.
I'll try to convert something and I'll use Google Translate. And it'll use Brazilian Portuguese opposed to continental Portuguese. And with any country, when you go north to south, east to west, sound different. And some people inside their own country can understand each other from different regions.
I'll give you a prime example. My wife knows Guatemala and California. We moved to Georgia, and she's working at the health department. She worked there for a minute. And someone comes in and says, tater, 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 tater. And my wife was trying to converse with the man and asked, could you say it a little bit slower and repeat it again? Tater, 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 tater. And she had to turn to her colleague and says, could you interpret this for me? And I'm like, a tater is a potato. I was laughing, but she couldn't understand them. So you're right. If I speak English, Southern English, or the Southern drawl in Georgia versus Alabama, Lynn knows this is different, isn't it? And if you go to Louisiana, it's even more different,
Yeah.
right? And
It sure is.
so, yeah. And I don't know if you say pecan or pecan, or how do you say boiled peanuts? And boiled peanuts in Alabama is different than anywhere else. It's the bomb, man. Boiled peanuts in Alabama, that 50 barrel beside on the side of the road type of thing is a thing, you know.
It is. It is so good. The
And the
peanut.
food's different, right,
Mhm.
guys? Like you go in Australia, you go in the United States and Canada, the food, the customs, the laws, how you talk is different. America, you are 100% right. You go from one side to the other side of any country you're in, you know, same language, different dialects.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I'm driving through the U.S., like, you're from Canada, aren't you? Hey. So, yes, I'm from Canada. I jumped on a call, it was a couple of weeks ago, and it's funny how, okay, we're dual language, so multilingual, but our two national, French and English. But some people are either naive or they just don't know. They thought we were French only. And someone had asked me, it's like, wow, your English is impeccable. How did you learn that? It's like, well, we do speak English here. I've spoken English here all my life.
Well, here's the ultimate where you're Latino. Someone comes up to you and goes, "Do you speak Mexican?" Like, I want to say something like on the scale of, "Are you ignorant?" But I don't. I hold myself back. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think it's actually fascinating. It makes life more alive when if I speak Spanish on the border between California and Mexico, that's called La Frontera, and that Spanish is what they call. You might think it might mean frontier, but it's border. It's
border,
Spanish from the border, right? But if you go to deep down Mexico City, they speak out totally different than they're at the border. And if you go into California, even the Spanish they speak is different. And I'm Puerto Rican and half Peruvian, and people think, what the heck happened to you? You know, they'll tell me, La Borica te fue. You know, they said the Puerto Rican out of you somehow left. And I'm like, well, I was in Southern California since 1987 to 2021. So my Spanish has more of a Mexican accent.
So you do
It's
speak
weird.
Mexican.
I do speak Mexican. You're right. Oh, there's another language that's really interesting that a lot of people get mistaken, is that in Latin American countries, we have indigenous people. And they mistaken that they can talk to them in Spanish when they don't even know what you're saying. They may speak a Mayan
Quechua.
dialect.
The Mayans speak Quechua, don't they?
Well, there's multiple dialects, and a lot of them didn't have even written word they didn't have an alphabet, and missionaries would go in long time ago and put letters, alphabet to them. And then like in Guatemala, the Guatemalan government would eventually come back and put their own stamp on it. But I know people like that here in Georgia, they will, because there's indigenous people here from Guatemala, but they don't speak Spanish. They have these colorful dresses. They dress a certain way. They look a certain way, and they speak a Mayan dialect. And it's very interesting. You cannot converse with them in Spanish.
And I think that's a great segue to Get Ahead Marketing's comment. Languages have too many nuances, which is true. I think we can all agree with that. They often get missed by AI translators, which we've experienced. I've experienced it firsthand using Google Translate. But if we use the Suno example, even using the proper tense or the proper variation of a word that's spelt the same way, Suno still hasn't been able to decipher that.
You want actually? Let's pick up on this. Is really funny. I want you to listen to a couple of these songs. America rewrote the words. This is what you're talking about, isn't it? You rewrote the words, and the actual line was, "You're so excited, you want to go live again." Right? But in the Flock of Seagulls version, it says, "You're so excited, you want to go live again."
Yeah.
And you're tearing your hair out going, hang on, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. That's what you're talking about, isn't it?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Well, it gets more serious if you make a mistake and in a medical, instead of them amputating your right arm, they amputate the good arm, the left arm. So there is a reason why they take a marker and put an X, you know.
But it is.
We'll even have the patient put the X.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm awake until you cut into me. That's gonna be me.
Because always, it's better to be with real people in real life, in real time. But life is busy. And like, I live in Melbourne, Australia, and I don't think there's a single person on this call other than Sherry who's been to this town. Right? And you may never come. Although, Bez, you did want to go to the Melbourne conference of Rotary. You never got round to that. What happened there? Life gets busy?
I couldn't make it happen. I think I had just moved over here, and just was a bad timing, moving and all that good stuff that goes along with moving. But I did want to go see you, mate. I just couldn't work out the walkabout. But
the reason I'm so proud of this segue, Sherry is from Taipei, well, from Taiwan, and her hometown is near Taipei. Last week, we did this very, 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 Sherry's just left, just at that crucial moment. Oh, that's a pity. But at that crucial moment, Sherry's just left the call. We have, you guys have a conference coming up in Taipei. Yeah. And Sherry is from Taipei. Now, I've sent you several messages about this, Bez, so go back and check your messages.
I saw that. I did. I'm looking at them now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Sherry, who's in New Zealand, who's a regular on our show, is from Taiwan, near the capital, Taipei. Bez, who's never been to New Zealand, but no, Sherry wants to go to Taipei. This is the power of online networking. This is the power. So Lynn is a travel agent. Bez is a part of Rotary. Rotary has their next conference in Taipei. Sherry is from Taipei. The power of online networking is that we get together, and that Lynn could organize the tour. Bez wants to go to Taipei. Sherry is from Taipei. She can tell you everything and probably even meet you there. Mm-hmm. So do you want to pick up on this, Bez? How committed are you to going to Taipei? Is it would be nice, or is it on the bucket list?
Well, I want to talk to my wife because I want to bring her along, right? And I want to make it a bucket list item, and I want Lynn to plan it for us, right? So I don't want to go by myself because I need someone there by my side in case I end up in some place and maybe I drank too many and I end up with a missing tooth and a giraffe in the back of my car. I just want to know. I need someone to make sure that
they witness
that I can't remember.
Yeah. But what I'm really fascinated by, and let's pick up on this because there's a million examples of this. For instance, Lachelle might go to Houston and meet Grace and hang out at the really cool Ferris wheel there, right? So online networking has this enormous power of bringing people together that would never have met. Now, you may not even have known or thought that Sherry was from Taipei. You just thought she was this cool Asian person who lived in New Zealand, but she's actually from Taiwan. So she would know people that would make your event there very unique. You could just turn up as a tourist and you'd be treated like a tourist. You know, a white man in an Asian country coming for 2 days. You know, that's there's plenty of people like that. But Sherry knows people there. She's from there. That changes the dynamic, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I just for me, um, m- deepening the connection of people I already know is very special to me. Like my wife and I are quite different. We'll go out to eat, and I'll want to hang out and take my sweet old time and chew my food 20 times each, mouthful, and hang out there for at least an hour. My wife wants to like swallow the food and let's get on out, and I'm like, well, heck. I want to enjoy myself. I want to break bread and have deep conversations. And so it's totally different, my wife and I, but I love to break bread. I love to deepen the connection and relationships. So I'm all about that life, Keith,
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to make mention of the fact that Sherry and I have had a conversation about this. She's aware that you want to go to Taipei, and she knows a lot about it. And she also knows that Lynn is a travel agent and probably working behind the scenes. So that's my job. My job is bringing people together. I only have one job. I love bringing people together. Even if that's the only thing that I do in this lifetime, that's going to be my superpower. And imagine if you, Bez, go to Taipei on a random conversation that we had on a call from a guy in Melbourne, Australia, doing a radio show in the back of his house. I mean, it's just a genius moment. You and I are very different. Like, you couldn't pay me to go to Taipei. It'd probably cost me, you'd probably have to pay me $10,000. I wouldn't go by choice. And I know this because I was invited to Jamaica. I've told that story before. I reckon $10,000 in business class tickets, you might convince me, but why are you going to do that? You wouldn't do that. You and I are very different. I'm very happy to do a radio show in the back of my house with a cool mic and funky tech. That's what I like to do. Try and get me out of the house and on a plane, you've got really serious trouble. I'm not doing it. No way. I want to tell this story in a minute, but we're all different, right?
I want to shake hands, kiss some babies. That's me.
So Sherry is back on the call. Do you want to jump in, Sherry, while we've got you? Sherry is from Taiwan, a very cool town, but not Taipei. Tell us about Taiwan and your connection there and what we can do for you and Bez and Lynn to make this happen.
So I was born in the second biggest city, which is in the south of Taiwan. It's called Kaohsiung, and it's a port. But I studied in Taipei for a year, and then before I moved to New Zealand with my family. So Bess, I'm quite happy to. Well, if we happen to be there at the same time, happy to show you around or be interpreter or something. Yeah, I've got friends there still. Even though 2 years ago was the first time I've been back after like 20 years away. So that was quite a long time. I've been living in New Zealand for like 30 years, and that was 20 years. So a lot of things like the high speed, high speed train was not even built when I left. Like the last time I was back before 2023.
So they have a high-speed train.
Oh yeah,
And then
connecting
what?
the south and the north, so it's a lot faster. I remember it used to be much slower, and yeah, it's and the metro is pretty good in the major cities. The transport is quite good in Taipei, especially. Yeah.
And the thing I love here, Sherry, and pick up on this, you are in New Zealand, but you love traveling to play piano in a classical setting. The online world allows you to connect with people that maybe you wouldn't have And how can we help you get the word out about what you're doing? Tell us where you're going with this. If you had, unlimited funds and unlimited access, where would you take this?
Oh, for the moment, I'm really just like going around to see where is. I'm actually I have a lot of ideas. I'm actually building like a piano family, which would be a lot harder than like the viola family that I've got to know. Now I am also getting to know the wind, concert band family in New Zealand at least. It's all amazing. I mean, I want to be like a connector just like you, Keith. So, not just for musicians, but creatives all around. And then, yeah, I'm also thinking of going around to, l- to listen to a lot of different youth orchestras around the world. So and also I'm building something to help musicians to deal with their stress and a whole lot of physical, mental
Yeah.
issues that might crop up in their career, if they're starting their career or if they're in at the top of their career. Still there's life to deal with. There's always going to be stress. So yeah, I want to build something to help with that too, a network.
Well, we creatives have to stick together because, as Bez and I have chatted about many, many times, money does not motivate me. So if someone said, "Oh, mate, I'll give you $10,000 to fly to Taiwan," the answer would probably still be no, because I'm not motivated by money. Creatives are motivated by a different force. I'm happy to. You could give me $10 and I'd try Suno. I'm doing it. I'm using it. But you could give me $10,000. I'm not getting on a plane. So money does not motivate creatives. Our brain works differently. So when you say, Sherry, that you need a little bit of a family or community for them, it's true, because creatives don't really fit into corporate life. We can't. We just don't. We just don't relate to the chasing of money for its own sake. We don't get it. It's not what we're built for.
And also, we don't have time for it because that's such a different focus. If we're chasing money, a lot of things can't actually be done, because if we are chasing money and waiting for the money to be in place before we do something, well, this inspiration will be gone. So yeah, I always like do first and then find the money later. If I have to trip in myself, then I do it, because it's just important to get it actually done, to make it happen.
So we're here, and I wanted to get you. I know not everyone can stay as long as we can, but I wanted to at least get Bez and Sherry and Lynn on the same page, which I have literally done. And now you guys can chat in your own time. I might add Lynn to that. I've set up a Taipei chat group on LinkedIn. I'm going to add Lynn to that. What's your take on this, Bez? What would you like to happen with Taipei?
Well, I would like to win the lotto over there. And do they have a lotto? No, they don't have a lotto. Okay.
There's actually like whenever you buy something, then you're automatically entered in a, well, if you get the receipt, and then
Uh-huh.
I think for that month, then you can, well, have big win or small win, I don't know for sure, but I think, yeah, even just by requesting the receipt, I think that's making sure that all the the um people selling stuff, to make sure they're all like law-abiding citizens and do what they should do, and encouraging people to, yeah, make sure.
Yeah, I would like to eat food.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
One of the best parts of visiting Taiwan, and the people is the other best part. Really friendly
Are they
people.
are they nice?
Oh yeah, I think
Okay.
possibly the nicest in the world. Well, don't take
Oh,
my word for it. I'm from there.
Other than Aussies.
Yeah.
Other than Aussies. Aussies are pretty friendly. But Lynn, what would you like to happen with this Taipei convention thing? What do you need to know as a travel agent to get Rotary citizens to Taipei?
Well, I would need to know how many. I need to know the length of time. And are you going to do a pre or post stay? Meaning, do you want to add couple of nights before, just to rest, because flying really does take it out of you, as you guys know, when you travel. So, pre or post stay, um, just the basics to start out, and of course, maybe even what type of what your budget expectations are.
Now, let
What do
me
you want
ask
to
you
do?
this,
What do you want to do? While you're there.
Lynn.
Mhm.
Lynn, what I could do is get you the rotary itinerary. So, like, if people want to, get there before the convention start or after or do whatever,
Mhm.
I probably can get that for you. But what I would like to do is maybe get more than just me or my wife to go, get other people around me, get them excited. And Lynn, how many people would I need to get going to get like a discount? Like if I get you 10 people, 15 people, 20 people, might I get like at least, I don't know, a Pez dispenser or something, would I get
Yeah,
so
of course. Yes.
a Pez dispenser?
Groups are always and I always say this, just in general, a group is the best way to travel. There's a lot of group travel out there, and it is for that reason. It's cheaper because you're going as a group. You're gonna have a discounted price. So it is usually the very best way to go about it, if you can. But not everybody wants to travel in a group. Um, but I would say, even to the solo traveler out there, if you can find a group to book into, do it, because it doesn't mean you've got to hang out together, you know. But
I,
just get the discount anyway.
Heck yeah. And I want Keith to tell us about group travel, but I think I'm going to organize the Georgia Hee Haw group, and see how many hee haw hers I can get, and see if we can get the discount.
Yes, absolutely. Well, maybe, and I can give you some ideas, and you can kind of see what you think about it. How about that?
This is
Please
actually
do.
this is actually a very good segue into what we're talking about tomorrow. I'm very big on vision. Like um, I'm already planning. I'm very excited about this. I'm already planning 2026. I'm very big on vision, and I think what we're doing now is we're creating vision. You have to have a very strong vision for what this will look like. How many people are going? What are you going to do? It's not a would be nice. Let's plan it out. And tomorrow's show is about what would happen if you had no limitations. I originally was going to call it what would happen if you had plenty of money, but I don't really want to link it to a dollar figure, because limitations are not always based on your money situation. Sometimes, you might have people in your life that don't want you to do what you need to do. So tomorrow I've got this really cool show called "What Would You Do If There Was No Limitations?" Now, amazingly, 60% of people say they would travel all the time if they had the money. If, like, suddenly you won lotto and you got 10 million bucks in the bank and there's no limitations, most people, 60% say they would travel all the time. What do you think, Bez? What would you do if someone put $10 million in your bank account? Not that I know anyone who would, but if they did, what would you do? Would you travel? Would you get stuck into your hobbies? Would you do more volunteering? I've sent you a poll about this. I really, really, really want to pick up on this, because tomorrow we're doing a show on it.
Okay. Definitely, I would travel the world, and I would invest my earnings, actually my winnings, because I didn't earn it. I won it, right? Or maybe, yeah. Well, okay. I would invest it, and then off the interest, I would travel at least 6 months out of the year. Really enjoy myself.
Okay. So this is very
And then
common.
I
6
would,
months a-
I,
yeah,
w- I
6
would eat,
months a year you travel.
yeah, and I would eat good food, meet cool people, and live life like there is no tomorrow, because you never know that tomorrow is may never come. So you just got to enjoy. What do they say? Carpe diem, seize
Mhm.
the day.
Yeah. Yeah. This is very important because I'm very big on vision. I'm very big because the second question too, that is, well, okay, if you've got a very clear vision of what you do with 10 million, what can you do today that picks up on some of that flavor? Can you plan a holiday? Can you go away for the weekend? Can you just go into the city and stay overnight? Right. And with that in mind, we are going away for Melbourne Cup weekend, and it's very, very exciting. We're going to go away for 5 or 6 days because Carol needs a break. So, what would you do, Lachelle? You say you would love to travel more. Where would you go? And if someone put $10 million in your bank account, what would you do?
Well, I definitely would invest, but traveling is very high on the list because having 15 children, we were limited with a lot of our travel. A lot of it was just, by car because of the expense. My husband was the only one working a lot of times during raising them. So for me, it is world travel. And I think you learn so much about, um, you get courage when you travel. I have a daughter who travels internationally by herself all the time. So I think there's a level of courage that you build when you travel, and humility, because you're learning how to connect with people out of your comfort zone, whether it's language or culture. So, yeah, that would be my answer: travel and investing.
Yeah, you've got to invest just in case something goes awry. What about you, America? What would you do if someone put $10 million in your bank account, which is $200,000 for 50 years? What would you do?
Wow, that's a great question because I too would like to travel. I believe I responded to hobby on that poll because the hobby can encompass travel and it can encompass many things. But it's not so much the money, because I enjoy when I travel. I enjoy the minimalist in me. I'll go, and I'm always open to going to countries that humble me and do tours. Like, I don't want to go swim with dolphins. I don't want to go do the safaris. I like to immerse myself in the culture. I'd like to do more of that and be able to give back with some of those winnings.
That's why I use the word limitation, because
Yeah.
money's not the only thing. Your partner might not want to travel. You might have a family that's a bit toxic and they won't let you go. Or you might be in a position where your work is so busy you can't get away. So the reason I say that is because, as I said, I was a musician for 10 years and I had to do jobs that I hated when all I really wanted to do was play. I wanted to write songs. And I did. And every single moment, separate to sleeping and working, I spent every single waking hour writing songs. But I had to work to pay the rent, which really made me angry because I couldn't make a living out of writing songs. So I'm a very different person to most people. I personally don't like traveling. But what I love doing is being creative. So if someone put $10 million in my account, which is $200,000 for 50 years, I would just write songs or do these shows all day. And guess what? I am doing them. So the second part of this question is, well, what can you do from that answer that you can do now? I wouldn't do very much more different. I'd just probably buy a bit more tech. And when we did travel, and this is very important to me, I would either fly at the very least premium economy or business class. Because the thing that stops me traveling is the flying. I hate flying more than anything else in the world. I hate it. And I avoid it at every turn. I hate it. Like, I really hate it. and flying cattle class is intolerable to me and a source of great tension between my wife and I. But she loves doing it, so we keep doing it. But I hate it. So
Did you refer to it as cattle class?
cattle class, yeah.
Wow, that's never heard it named cattle class. That is funny.
Yeah, because you're just sitting in the back. Right. I got this really funny story. My sister, who's a bit of a larrikin, she was sitting in cattle class economy, and this very, very, very famous footballer sat down beside her, and he took up all the room. Right, he's on the edge, and he's taken up both. He's taken up both of these armrests, and she's with her daughter, and she's in the middle, and the daughter's got the window. That's exactly what I hate. That exact scenario. And she says, "Look, mate, there's 3 chairs. We each get a cushion, and we each get an armrest. So can you just be nice and just take one armrest, because there's 3 of us?" And he looks at her, and he says, "Don't you know who I am?" And she quips back, "Well, you mustn't be too famous because you fly in economy." And that shut him up, because if he was famous, he'd be flying first class, right?
Mm.
So if I had unlimited money, I would fly business class as a minimum, because I want a comfy chair. I hate sitting in the middle, and I absolutely detest sitting on the window. That's what stops me traveling. I hate travel. I hate flying. I just hate it. So I'm always fascinated when people talk about travel in an affectionate way, because there's about 1 million things I'd rather do than that. But that's all. We're all different. So tomorrow's show, and this is very important, tomorrow's show, we're talking about what you would do. One of the things that I'm very fascinated by with this answer, and I've sent you all this this poll. We've had 85 votes so far. Please yell out if you want a copy of that. 20% of people said they would volunteer if they had no money worries at all and they could do anything at all. 20% of people say they would volunteer more. Now, that's very heartening.
Mm-hmm.
Very heartening to know that if you had no worries at all, no money worries, no time worries, you would volunteer more. I'm very inspired by that.
Mm-hmm.
Because people then realize, well, hang on, I've been lucky enough to be gifted $10 million. Maybe I should spend a bit of time helping out those who are sleeping on the street. And I'm surprised, Bez, that you didn't say that, because I'm guessing Rotary's all about that, isn't it? The dogs are barking.
No. What happened is I was trying to save a document. He called my name, and I'm like, okay, got to cancel that. But well, the question was, the dogs are barking. Someone let the dogs out, and who let the dogs out? And what was the real question?
One thing I'm very inspired by is that on this poll, 85 people have voted. 18% people say, as a first point of call, they would volunteer more.
Yeah, since that is sort of in my DNA, that ain't never going to stop. Right. So the reason I didn't put that is because I do that all the time. Like, that is not like, oh, if I had more money, I would volunteer, because it don't take money. It takes a heart. It takes, you don't have to write the checks. You can actually do the work. And there's there's so much you can do to make this world a better place. And it starts in your home. It extends out into your community, and you'll find many opportunities in your community. So that's why I didn't put that down, because I mean, that's who I am.
That's what you're already doing it.
Yeah.
Now that's fine, because a lot of limitations are not based on money.
Right.
Volunteering requires time, and you might not have time. You might have desire, but no ability. So, if you had plenty of time, you might spend more time volunteering. But why I'm inspired by that is that there's been some discussion in Australia. This is a very good segue to this. There's been some discussion in Australia about two things. One is, I'm very proud of this. It will now become law in Victoria from January that all businesses that can do this must allow their people to work at home 2 days a week.
Ooh.
This is becoming law in January of 2026. Now, this doesn't apply to cafes and garden shops and service stations or restaurants, but if you go into the office to punch a keyboard all day when you could have done it at home and saved yourself an hour on the train each way, it's becoming law that from January 2026, you must allow your staff to work from home. Must. Law. Very inspiring, because there's been some discussion that businesses are going the other way, forcing people to go into the city when they really don't need to. And the second big discussion is that it's now becoming very popular in Australia to have the discussion about working 4 days a week. So in Australia, we now value time over money. We, as Australians, value time over money. And there's two discussions going on. Do you work 40 hours in 4 days, 4 tens, and then have Fridays off? Or do you just get 80% of what you would have got? There's the discussion that the jury's still out on which of those models are going to work. But in Australia, there's big push for more freedom of time over money. We've always been about this, always. But it's now becoming law. And I'm very inspired by that, because a lot of the things that we can't do are based on time. We've got to work 5 days a week, and then we have 2 days a week off to do the washing and mow the lawn and have a sleep in. By the time we get round to Sunday night, it's all gone and we're tired again. Because we live an hour from the city, and it takes, that's 2 hours of our day wasted sitting on a tin can doing nothing. And no one's been productive there. So that's why I'm very inspired by this topic, and how the word limitations is not based on money. And that, I'm very interested in the idea that a lot of people say they want to travel. And maybe when I do win that $10 million and I'm flying business class, I might think, hang on, I'm having fun here. I get it. I get it now. I don't get to the destinations sick and tired and can't sleep and hideous jet lag, because we're so far away, right? You go somewhere, it takes you 3 days to recover, because it's like you got to be in a tin can for 16 hours sitting in a chair. It's very debilitating. Although Sherry would know much more about that than me. How do you deal with jet lag, Sherry?
I just go with it. I mean, if I don't sleep, then I don't sleep, and I still get up the next day. I just have shortened sleep. That's all, and it doesn't seem to affect me too much. I'm sure it crops up like over time, but during this short time I'm overseas, usually like up to 3 weeks, it's quite okay. It takes a while to recover after that. Afterwards, though.
What's your take on it, Lynn? How do you recommend that people deal with jet lag?
Well, first of all, if you can, it's a great idea to get one of those wonderful neck rests. If you can do that, that's very helpful. I am not one to sleep on the plane. I just can't do it. I would love to be able to, but I know that if I'm on board, I'm going to watch a lot of movies, tune everything out, and just watch movie after movie. But if you can, maybe just do a neck rest. If you can even get something to help you sleep, perhaps. But I just, for me, no, it's going to be an all-nighter.
I'm still on my interview. Thank you.
I don't watch movies anymore on the flight. I did do some writing or reading.
Yeah.
Or
Well, you're like a very sort of seasoned traveler. You would have a routine now, wouldn't you?
Yeah, pretty much. But I just don't. I think that's just like it will make me more tired when I get there if I watch a movie. So I just can't be bothered anymore. yeah, I do my own things. And actually, the neck rest is a really good idea. And couple that with like good headphones that's noise canceling. And also, well, I recommend Fly Hikes. I mean, I bought more than one set because I thought it was so good. And yeah, that really helped me sleep, like if I needed to. Like the eye masks, yeah, worked really well.
That's brilliant. Very, very cool. We did a whole show on this last week, and we're doing a whole show on it tomorrow about the idea of what you do if money was not a limit, and we'll do more about that tomorrow. But what we've done today is we've done a YouTube special edition, and I'm pretty excited about that. We've been chatting for 2 hours, where and Lachelle is up way past her bedtime. What do you think are the main takeaways for you today, Lachelle, in this environment? Did you learn something new as always?
Well, I really appreciate the share about the Substack. I mean, I'm hearing us talk about it in more episodes that you have been hosting. So I'm interested in that. And I think, just hearing those stats, when you're doing what you enjoy, you don't really think about the impact. But when you hear those stats about, how many people are on a platform and, the numbers of people watching and engaging on your show, imagining them being in your living room or in front of you, that really puts things in perspective, because I think a lot of times what happens is when you are in the midst of the feed of the algorithms, you really don't focus on what your impact is and how you may be growing, what is getting more engagement, really being able to take a pulse on how your growth is happening. So I love conversations like this because it helps you to stay grounded, but also when you have a strategy, you design what that
Yeah,
strategy is and how it works for you, right? If I want to say, okay, I want to increase my viewership live, then I will send out more invitations. I think sometimes if we're all over the place, we're doing a lot of things without
yeah,
intention. And it's kind of like, you're overwhelming and burning yourself out. Whereas if you focus on what aspects of your growth that you want to see, then you can do things that can directly impact that
yeah.
result,
And you've got. I want to share
whether
a
it's
really cool.
information. Yeah.
I thought of this the other day. I'm really proud of this. I think my life is like a big jigsaw puzzle, right? And I want to stick with me because this is very important. You get a box, and there's a picture on the box that if you put all of the bits of the jigsaw puzzle together in the right order, you're going to get this picture, right? You go, oh, that's a nice picture, and that's something to do on a Saturday afternoon. And then you get everything out, and oh no, there's all these bits. How am I going to do that? Well, my life is like that jigsaw puzzle. I know in my mind what the picture is. Not everyone has this vision, but I know exactly what my life is going to be. And all I'm doing is I'm putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Sometimes you have a snakes and ladders moment where you get forward and then 2 steps back and you think you're never going to get there. But this is why I set goals. This is why I believe in writing it down and setting goals. I have a picture. I'm starting to develop a picture for what 2026 will become. And I know that's next year and it seems like an age away, but I know it'll happen because I've been doing it like a few years. And it's a very satisfying feeling when you finish that jigsaw puzzle and you go, you know what, I did that. My goal this year was to have 20,000 followers by 25/25, the 20th of the 5th, 2025. I did it. Tick. We have a winner. Very satisfying. In January, I'm thinking, I'm never going to do that. Seems like a long way away. 20,000 followers. Come on. How am I going to do that? But the jigsaw puzzle, this is why I love setting goals. This is why I'm so strategic. What Americo said, almost surgical about it. Because I've been doing it such a long time, I know that if I set a goal, I will achieve it. I'm not talking about walking on the moon. I'm not talking about being the first man in human history to give birth. I'm talking about something I can do, right? And I think this is why I love doing these shows. We are going to watch Bez and Sherry and Lynn plan a trip to Taipei. You heard it first on KKFM, and it's going to happen. And there's incredible joy in watching your life flourish. This is why, as you say, Lachelle, it's very important to have focus. It's not just about being busy and thinking you're doing things. You've got to achieve things. You've got to move forward. Do you ever sometimes feel that you lost the plot, or how do you stay focused? How do you keep it? How do you keep it together?
Well, for me, it's my network. I connected with you guys community through Bez. I just remember the one day that I heard you guys, and you sent me the link, invited me on stage, and it's been wonderful because there's momentum and energy that attracts other people at whatever phase you're on. I think everything you're doing has energy. So at that point, there was a certain momentum that connected with you guys at that time. And so I think that's the power of networking and continuing to show up, because nothing in your business is linear. You can make a lot of sales, but then what is your follow-up like? How are you marketing? There's so many aspects to it that it's just not a one and done. And so there could be certain phases and seasons to different parts of your business. You might be in a summer season with sales, but then it's winter for your creativity, because you've got to come up with new ideas and offers. So when you continue to network and show up, you have people that can align with you and can support you through all phases of your business, personal life, that can keep you in some kind of harmony with these things, because they ebb and flow.
I totally agree. And the network is very, very important, because it actually helps sort of, it's the glue, isn't it? Because things happen, the jigsaw puzzle falls apart, or you can't get that missing piece. And the network is what keeps us going, keeps us coming back. No man is an island, right?
Yeah. And you always need help. I mean, just this whole triangle around Taipei, right? Being able to take action is so important. So many people dream and fantasize and have vision boards, but part of that becoming reality is that you have to take the first step. So when you have people in your network that are even physically in places that you want to go, that can make all the difference, right? Because you may not even imagine going to Australia, for example. But once you build a relationship with someone, you feel like, well, if I go there, I know somebody. So it makes it more real that it's obtainable, because you start filling in the pieces around some of these things that are very elusive in the beginning.
They're just ideas. And what the reason I'm mentioning this is that a lot of people do not have vision. They say things and they're just something to do. Oh yeah, well, given that you asked me, I might consider doing this, but they don't put arms and legs on it. And I think that's my greatest source of joy, is when I set a goal in my mind, and this is a subtle joy that only I feel. I'm not doing it for anyone else. I feel this very subtle joy that I did that. I went out of my way and I made it happen. and that's something that only I can really feel, which is one of the reasons I hate those posts on LinkedIn when people tell you they bought a car. I don't give a shit that you bought a car. I don't give a shit. If you bought a car, that's up to you. Good on you, as we say here in Australia. Good on you for buying a car. You're successful. I don't care. That's your win. You don't have to brag to me that you bought a car and you're so successful that you can afford to buy a brand new car. I don't care about that, which is one of the things I'm a bit worried about with LinkedIn. There's a lot of those posts that are setting us up to, doubt ourselves.
Can I remind you of
Yeah,
something, Keith?
Please.
What about your Keithies? I think you should be super proud of that. You're connecting people and they're taking Keithies all around the world, right?
You tell us how you're doing that. You've done a few, yeah?
Well, at least in Argentina. So I met uh this lady from Argentina, and she's actually helped me organize one of my concerts with the venue. And yeah, it's so much easier when you know somebody local and they are super enthusiastic, even if they're not musicians, and they're really fully engaged and really willing to help, and that is really nice. And in Argentina, I had another concert that was actually through another network. I'm in the G100. It's a woman empowerment thing, and the organization, and we all have leaders all around the world. I'm kind of an arts and film leader for New Zealand, and I met up with the Argentina leader and played a concert at her space, and it was great. And she was dancing to it at the end for an encore as well. So yeah, it's just collaboration around the world. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I'm inspired by you to have this salon idea that there are people around the world who may not necessarily live in your town, but think like you. I'm a connector. I want to hang out with other connectors. So when you went to Argentina and you went to that bar and you put the napkin up, hi Keith, we did it. Right? There's all these people that have met each other through being on our shows that would not have happened, and that fits perfectly with what you're doing, Americo. I don't think most people really fully appreciate how powerful these events are, do they? We're still at the cusp of telling people what's happening here, aren't we?
They've been happening for years. Other platforms have mastered it, have gotten really good at it, and then have kind of tapered off. But still, I feel like we're at the infancy of this, because there's just so many people that don't have a real appreciation or real understanding, for that matter, of the power and the influence that these events bring, and more importantly, the value. You were talking a little bit about your highlight and how you set a goal for your community to grow, and how some of the posts kind of drive you up the wall with people bragging. Listen, there's no shame in removing those people. If they're part of your community, they're going to drive, the algorithm's going to drive traffic that it recognizes inside your ecosystem. So if you remove that from your ecosystem, you start seeing less of it. And every once in a while, I'll do a purge or housekeeping, or pruning. And you and I have talked about this. Like I'm on the cusp, and I'm going to say it here. I would anticipate by the end of the week, I'll probably hit 10K, and I set my goal for end of year. But each year, I lose about 1,000 followers willingly. I remove them just to keep my ecosystem relevant to me.
Yep, I agree with you, and I'm starting to, let's have this discussion about culling or purging, or just sort of keeping it clean, keeping the purity. I am starting to remove those. I just bought a car posts, or I've got a lamb. I called her Bergini. I now have a lamb Bergini. Because I always wanted a Lamborghini. And the only way I could do that is by buying a lamb, which cost me $10, and calling her Burgini. But at least I'm halfway there, right? I'm starting to get rid of those. But let's have that discussion. How much purging do you do, Bez? You're a bit of a power connector. Do you purge from time to time, or do you sort of go through your list and get rid of some of the toxicity?
Excuse me. Typically, I don't do much purging unless I realize that there's a group of people that are fake profiles. But other than that, sometimes people that you never know, they don't interact, they don't do anything, but they're watching you, and you never know if you'll do business with them. Life is strange. Life is long. So unless they're doing something that doesn't align with me, then yeah, I can see that. But so far, that I'm pretty good. I don't do, yeah, I don't practice that as much. Now there's people out there say you gotta purge you, but I'm into the weak ties concept. Maybe someone in my network who's very loosely connected to me could lead me to a great opportunity just because of the weak tie.
I'm inclined to agree. I've never ever considered deliberately purging people, except I've got to be honest, I don't get this iPhone in front of the mirror on a Saturday night post. I don't. What has that got to do with business? Sure, you're pretty, good, and you went out, good. That's great. But why do I need to see a picture of you on your iPhone in a bathroom with a big mirror on LinkedIn? I don't need to see that. What's that? What value is that offering me? It's not offering me any value. What are you doing? That's not, it's LinkedIn is not Instagram, right? So I have considered sometimes unfollowing those people because they're not adding value. But to your point, Bez, you never know if on a different day, in a different mood, they might just happen to know someone that you need to know, or they may need what you have. You never know, do you?
Right. You never know. I think, I don't know if I told this story, but we had, I run a group coaching program, and I run 2 different cohorts. And in one of them, the person who referred one of the people that actually is in it is not the person that's in it, but is a marketing executive. And she had her consulting company page and her personal profile, and she did on a consistent basis released a post or an article, one from the business, one from the personal, on different days of the week, but consistently every week, twice per week. There was a somebody that was lurking that she didn't know, who reached out to her once and said, "Remember me from high school?" And they had actually gone K through 12 together. He'd gone on, and now he was a CEO of a company. She's, VP of marketing type of person, but she's consulting now because it's just what is available right now. So she said he this is what he told her, because she was doing these posts twice a week on LinkedIn. She goes, "Every week I look forward to your post. And what I do is I print them up and I take them to my executive team, and we talk about what you posted." Now, think about this. The dude did the ultimate thing and printed it up. Like, that's like equivalent to a fax machine. No, I'm just joking. But took it to executive team and made copies, and never once engaged with her content, but did one better, read it, printed it up, and would take it every week to the executive team, and they would discuss it. Wow. She said, "I have a project for you." So she came on board doing a project. And even before she finished that project, while in midstream of that project, they gave her 2 additional projects. And she hadn't even finished the first one. Now she has 3 projects. But imagine if you like this person never engages with me, you know. I remember them from high school, but they're sort of maybe snobby. Maybe they don't engage with me because I'm not a CEO. Imagine if someone thought that way. They would have actually missed out on a great opportunity because, see, you never know who's watching and how much they're watching you, right? We always want people to engage with our content, but maybe they are, but we don't know. And maybe the we don't know is more powerful than a like and a comment that says, great. I mean, I'd rather get that other one that says, I've been printing up your stuff. Sorry if I haven't engaged. But how about a consulting gig? That's like, would you like to supersize that with your, for your fries supersize? I mean, that's more valuable, isn't it? So anyway, I think you got to be careful because there's a lot of people that do talk about, prune, like doing cleansing their list and stuff like that. Well, how do you know if they're dirty? I don't know. Anyways, I'm not a big fan of cleansing it.
Can I ask this? Why people recommend it? Why? This is a very important question because I've never thought of it. But why do people recommend cleansing your database, cleansing your list? Why would you do it? What's the positioning there?
Well, there's a line of thinking that it's sort of an elitist mindset, like it's sort of like that you only want to be around people that are basically like that can add to you, give you something basically. So it's more of a take mentality than a go-giver, because a go-giver doesn't worry about, can you give me something? See, that's sort of, have you ever been around people that you get this icky feeling because the only reason they may be around you is because they want something, right? Like that what the question you just asked lends me to think that when you have that mentality, you're trying to think about you're greater than thou, and that you cannot touch dirt, and that if they're not your tribe, they can't provide value to. I think that's a limiting mindset.
It's a limiting belief, isn't it?
Yeah, the garbage man can provide value.
I kind of have a different take on this.
Okay, go ahead.
Because
I'd love to hear your take on it.
Yeah, because I don't necessarily scrub my connections all the time, but there are certain things that come up where I make a lot of introductions and I engage with people that I'm connected to outside of inviting them to things. If it's their birthday and I get a notification or they get promoted, or it could be a comment that they share that I engage with. If I find that I have been engaging with them and they have not been reciprocating, then I look at that and kind of, begin to feel like less is more, because, I don't want to use my energy to reach out to people that are just not interested. And, things could happen. And I think even also when you are fine tuning your brand, because it goes through transition sometimes, there may be some things that you have to focus on that are not necessarily relevant. And some of those people that you may be connected to, those things are coming up in your feed. And you could do it different ways. You could just make the notifications not all the time. It could be sometime. You could maybe just turn off the notifications, but still be connected to them. I think those are the levels to where you can begin to engage. But I think less is more when it comes to, this is just for me. because I'm in media and visibility. I'd rather have 50 people on one event that want to be there rather than 500. And then I have to weed out between the 500 that came who really needed to be there and who didn't, because that's even more time on the back end.
But no,
Absolutely.
and I can respect that. And in fact, I love how you put it. Like you can tuck some away, right? And because maybe more is less. What I end up doing, because I know Keith sees stuff on his feed, but I don't see that stuff on my feed. But maybe it's because you know I don't know why I don't see stuff like that on me, and I don't see many political posts on my LinkedIn feed either. Now I stay clear of that on LinkedIn, but I know it exists because I have seen it. But I don't see, and maybe it's because I don't engage or whatever, but I don't see political posts on my feed. And other people complain, they tell me they see stuff. I don't. And so I think, to Lachelle, like there is no wrong or right answer to this. I love how you put it, like, hey, this works for me. And I think whatever works for you, go with that, right? Because I'm not wired like Lachelle. Lachelle's not wired like me. And I've got to respect that. I mean, she handles it her way. I handle it my way. And there's people like my wife, she don't really like social media, right? She's very limited because if she sees something, it can trigger her and she's apt to respond and it's not so kind. So she's like, I'd rather not be on there because I'll bite someone's head off. So she's very limited in her interaction because she knows herself. So I can't tell her she's wrong. She thinks like, how can you have so many friends? She goes, are they really friends? And I'm like, yeah, everybody's a friend. She goes, come on, they're not really friends, are they? And I have a different definition than she does. And that's okay.
I love this discussion because I'm a little bit inclined to agree with Lachelle that I would much rather have 100 people fully engaging in my content than 10,000 followers or 100,000 connections. 100 people who come to my show give me and us more value than I personally am not fussed about replays because I don't know who they are. I want to know who's listening to my stuff and I want to thank them and I want them to come to my next show. Someone who listens to a show 2 weeks down the track and doesn't tell me, well, that's no good to me.
But when that person calls 2 weeks or 2 months down, so I've been listening to you for the last couple of months and I'd like to sit down and see how you can help me.
Yeah,
that is just,
that's the long tail, isn't it?
Right, that's the long tail. But I agree with Lachelle, and there are our top voices that say don't prune, don't do anything, just let it grow. But from a personal brand and a personal brand's evolution, to Lachelle's point, you're going to go through phases, and I've gone through a few of those phases over the years as a working professional, now self-employed, and trying to find clarity around the value that I'm bringing to my community, the purpose that I'm bringing to my community. And as I inch ever so closely to where I want to be, there are people who no longer align, who no longer belong. And not because they're bad people, not because they can't introduce me to wonderful opportunities. It's just that there's nothing there of substance, and I will take a close look, and sometimes it's an unfollow and stay connected. Sometimes it's a stay connected and checking off in your settings no longer interested in this person's content, so you can continue to follow and stay connected, but just scrub their posts. But there are an abundance of like I went through a phase where I had more affiliate marketing connections than I knew what to do with, and my entire feed, every time I picked up my
Yes.
device,
The
was
feed.
was an infomercial of some kind. Buy a luggage, buy a calculator, buy a flashlight, and all these things that I had no use for, but that's all that was coming up because I was seeing what was relevant to me. Right. So it's, you gotta
This is
surround
actually
yourself.
this is really relevant because next week, and we always seem to be able to circle back to something of relevance. Next week, I'm doing a show called "Why Do You Use LinkedIn?" And I personally used to be a career counselor, but I don't do that anymore, and I don't hang out with job seekers. But I want to hang out with the 4 other groups that use LinkedIn for networking, for personal growth, for these sorts of things. So if I got in my feed all this guff all the time about things I'm not interested in, well, that's a waste of my time because I don't know why you're not getting these, Bez, but my feed is just full of rubbish, and I've got to probably clean that up. But when I see the rubbish, there's a part of my brain, it might be 1%, that said, okay, well, I've got to deal with that now. I'd rather not see it. I'd rather you didn't send it. And so maybe if you keep sending these posts, I should unfollow you because, like Lachelle says, there's only so many hours in the day, and you want to focus on quality. You want to hang out with people that are sharing inspirational posts, not just blatantly sales-oriented posts.
Yeah, because really we only have so much momentum or motivation. And if that energy is depleted by things that aren't in alignment, you can see it happen,
Yeah,
so
dyslexia.
I don't really, yeah, I don't start out looking at my feed. I look at notifications, because I think those are people that have tagged me. It's something's relevant. And even now, I'm thinking through some of the notifications. A lot of times people will notify you of their events, but they don't support yours, and I feel like these are things that are maybe subliminal, that if we don't address them, they turn into all other emotions that can impact our growth. So I feel like if there's some kind of energy around someone's name that comes up in my feed, then I really take that time to make that decision because, you know, um, that's a part of being a leader is learning to know yourself well enough to know what is it that
Yeah,
fuels you and what is it
depletes
that
you.
stops you.
You're like me. You're
You
very
got to figure.
sensitive. I agree with you. You can see a person's face, and there's an association with that person, isn't it? Even before you've read their posts, you just know the type of content they share.
Yeah, I want to share a different point of view because of my experience. Um, especially this is on Facebook. I've lived from East Coast to West Coast, and so I've met a lot of people throughout my journey in life, and you know, but the people I went to high school with, most of the because I went to high school 2.5 years here in Georgia, and then a year and a half in California, right? And the people I went to school here for 2.5 years in Georgia, if I were to meet them off the street today or on Facebook, I would not be their friend. But when we were in high school, we were tight. We were, very close. But now that they're grown adults, they're pretty racist in their views. And a few times I felt like disconnecting them, but I was like, all right, you know, I do want to hear opposing views, and I want to know where you stand because I do certain things in my extracurricular activities that it's important for me to know how people think as I fight the good fight. But I while I guard my mindset very, very much, because it does affect you, I do toughen up or become resilient to other voice or other opinions, because I need to know, how do people think? What's going through their minds? So, um, I do take some punishment for that and get, but I think I'm up to the task, right? And it's not easy to be up to the task because it's very negative, right? But I'll be honest with you, if I were to meet these people on the street and I never met them, hell no, they would not be my friends. And do I at times feel like disconnecting with them? Absolutely. But I tell you what, I want to know. I'll give you an example. Just recently, I I made a comment like, "Wow," of a certain that happened, and I made the not the mistake, but I knew what would happen. But my point was, I thought it was wrong, inhumane, and guess what? Who showed up? My racist friends, and made some comment. But I was so busy, I didn't even have time to respond. We're going on week 2. I haven't had time to respond. But when I got a second, and I know this doesn't serve me, but I'm not going to let them off the hook. I will respond to them in kind, and not in how they did, which they basically insulted me. But I will question their humanity, and just go from there. But anyways, I'm in a different place in my life right now, that I just doing what I'm doing for the reasons that I'm doing it. So I'll just
I
end
love
it
this.
there.
I love the bravery.
Yeah,
I love the bravery.
I had a question because I want to think like I've learned, my husband's a pastor.
Mhm.
And so there is the tendency to um, be the light, right? Especially, and hear opposing views. But I think it's different when it is something that, you're attached to. So, for example, you may be connected to these people and they go through their friend group, somebody else who's an outsider goes through their friend group and sees them act a certain way, and then they associate them with you because you're their friend. Because a lot of people just make judgment, based on if you're with the person, you agree with the person. So I think when we're thinking about our brand, these are things that, and I'm not saying that people are perfect. I'm not saying that they're, going to always make all the right decisions, but there's certain things that we have to understand the bigger picture around, because people make associations a lot of times without our input. Sometimes it's just proximity. It's you're connected to them. They might see somebody in this audience who's making a comment and assume whatever. So I think understanding the ripple effect of your brand, a lot of these things are important, and I just gauge on my energy. Now, this is just something that I'm growing with over time, because I used to have this kumbaya situation, and I still believe, I give people the benefit of the doubt, but I have to go with my gut and my own energy, because if it impacts how I show up, or there's some kind of angst about it, then I have to figure out why that is. And I have to make a decision, because there are times when it comes to being a leader, you have to prioritize. You can't do all things. I remember one of my clients told me, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So we have to realize, you know, how is this like, and especially if it's a part of your routine where you're looking at your feed and you have a lot of people that are saying crazy stuff, you got to figure out, well, I can control this. Either I don't look at my feed, or, which can impact your performance on the platform, or you can start creating the type of feed that you want to see. And I think these are some of the things that go with people getting a lot of views. I have these people coming to me all the time about my YouTube. And I'm like, look, I'm not thinking about my YouTube channel right now, but they're like, I can get you so many subscribers and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, I don't want a whole bunch of subscribers of people that may not be real. They may not be engaging, just for the sake of getting them. And then that's even more work on the back end. So I think, again, when we begin to look at our brand, the more we're able to focus and go deep with that, then we're going to find opportunities where they're just going to expand organically, because we're showing up that way in every space.
Yeah. You go, Bess. That's all right.
No, I'm just gonna say that I understand that about the association. I feel pretty strong of where I am, and if you know me, you're gonna know how I stand, where I stand, no matter who I'm associated with. And the reason I still connected with some of these people, because I want to see how they think. And it might not be ideal for me, but it's just a period in my life right now where I'm fighting the good fight, because wrong is wrong. And I think we're in a time, and I don't like, because I know Keith is very sensitive to politics, so I'm just going to keep the politics, but I'll just be very general. We're in a time that does affect me. Okay. And and I'm the type that I may not be out there with a sign in my hand, but I'll be in those committee rooms on Capitol Hill speaking out against legislation, right? And that's where I want to make an impact. And so it's not the easiest of easy things to do, and sometimes I don't have the time. I just feel that there's, I'm in that part of my life that I really don't need more friends. I really just need to know who are my ride or die, right? And the rest can go to hell.
I love your bravery there, because you've worked out, and this is quite clever. If I understand what all sides think, I can be a more useful person. That is that's very powerful. Like you now know that you can be a much more powerful person in the room because you understand, if for lack of a better word, the opposition. You think they're wrong, but you understand them.
It's just like, this is a strange conversation, because I'm thinking back when I was in the university and my roommate, and we went to a private Christian university, and we were both taking the same class. What is it? It's a communication class where you debate. Yeah, you do. I can't remember what was the class called. And you know what my roommate did? He went and bought a satanic Bible. Antoine LaVey sat at the floor of my dorm room and drew a pentagram, and people would come in and like freak out. And you know what was his response? Hey, if I'm going to debate Christianity over Satanism, I have to know the what the opposition is all about. And most people thought he was nuts, but he really went, okay, he chose the Satanism side, and someone else showed, how to debate Christianity, and they went at it, but he was prepared. See, I think some people, like back then, like everything that we're going through right now today, it happened in the mid 90s in California. And I'm ashamed to say I didn't stand up. So my roommate probably had more cojones by buying a satanic Bible, which I would never have done, and arguing Satanism in a private Christian university. That was cray. Come on now.
But you know what, Bez? You probably, with your friends that you are associated with, you don't know that maybe what you're putting out, your ideas, your thoughts, they can rub off. You never know.
I am aware that I don't think I'm in the business to change people and how they think, but I'm in that time in my life where I want to stand to what I believe to be decency and a humanitarian. Hey, I'm a Rotarian. We believe in to be a humanitarian, to make this world a better place. And yet, even within Rotary, I will find people that say that, but they don't believe it, or they don't walk the walk, right? And it's just like, you go to church and the person out there is saying how Christian they are, but good and well they're that strip club every whatever, on and they claim they're the Christian, but they got their vices. Now, am I here to judge them? No, but yeah.
I love your bravery, because I'm a very sensitive soul, and I am affected by people very deeply. So I need to cocoon myself. Like, there's a very famous phrase, and that says, "You are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with." Now, I believe that very, very strongly, because I'm a bit of a chameleon. If I tend to take on the energy of those who I'm with. I'm not that strong. I'm not that insular. That's not the right word I'm looking for, but I'm not that self-contained that I can say, look, you're entitled to your opinion. I disagree with it, but go ahead and try that. Unfortunately for me, my character type is that I sort of, it seeps in. So I have worked out that the best way for me to stay stable and be useful is to hang out with people that I like. I honestly don't have the courage or the mental capacity to take on opposing views. I don't. I'm sorry, I can't. That's why I stopped using Twitter.
Yeah, I think also I love this phrase that I saw on Facebook, and it said, a lion doesn't go around saying it's a lion. Because there are certain clues, once we really dive into seeing if people are in alignment with us, there are things that they do and say that are clues to their character. So if you think about, a lion just is. So if you have someone who has to tell you who they are, their behavior should speak for itself. It's the same thing like a brand. Anybody can get on a commercial and say they're the best thing since sliced bread. But what do the people say? Right? So I think the more we're intentional about that, we will start listening. And if you listen long enough, people will tell on themselves, about the character that they have. It will show up. If you just research a few posts back, because consistency is something that people do with intention. And those who do things quick, or, they don't have a strategy, it all comes out when you do your research.
There's a phrase here we use called enough rope. This is not an Australian phrase, but there was such a cool show. There was a show called Enough Rope. And the basic idea was, this interviewer was so skilled that he really didn't ask any questions. He just let the people talk. Right? It's so clever. And but within about 5 or 10 minutes, the people had given themselves away. Exactly what you're talking about, Lachelle. If you let people talk in their own vibe and get their own momentum, you know what they're talking about without having to ask any questions. And people will go on these rants about politically minded racist statements that make complete sense to them, because they're hanging out in a cocoon of people that are like them. I'm not, unfortunately, very strong I'm not going to combat a racist or a misogynist. You know, I might, if I was very courageous, if I saw a guy beating a woman, I might stand in. I might. I don't know. I've never been in that position. I probably would. I'd like to think that I was courageous enough to stand in his way and have him hit me than the woman. But I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm not sure I'd be courageous enough. And verbally, I'm definitely not able to do it because I'm a sensitive person. That's my power suit, but it's not necessarily suitable to all situations. What do you think, Sherry? You're back in the call. You've been. Do you tend to hang out with people that are similar to you, or are you pretty open to lots of different types of people? Do you have a wide cross section of friends?
I am open to any sort of friend, but after a while, you can feel the energy. Sometimes if they don't align, the more negative kind of thinking people and or people who inspire you, right? Like Keith. And yeah, I think we naturally get drawn to those people more. And instead of the people who keep on telling you that, oh no, that's not that's not possible what you're trying to do.
I think you go, Bess. This is very important. You're much more courageous than me, and I applaud you for this. I don't have your ability to stand in the fight.
Yeah, but I remember a time when I was a lot younger and I wasn't so courageous, and I'm ashamed of that, right? Because back then I had nothing to lose, other than the job I just was learning, But I just want to say, Keith, this has been a great conversation. If I was in a car driving and I put on the radio and I was listening to this was a great conversation. I would be glued to this. It's that good. I've really enjoyed it. And I've just been thinking about what we've been talking about over the last couple hours. And I was like, this is definitely talk radio stuff. This is good stuff. So thank you for holding the space.
You're very welcome. It's very, very important that we have these discussions. And today we've done it on YouTube. And I think we've proved a point that our community will come with us if we give them the right information up front. We've had a very good conversation. I'll check the stats in a minute, but that's not necessarily the point. We've had a good conversation amongst ourselves. We've certainly pushed ahead with the Taipei idea. We've talked about jigsaw puzzles and AI music and all sorts of things. So this has been a very, very good conversation. 3 hours in, we're still going. I might give everyone a chance to wrap up. Bez, you go first. You probably need to get to bed. What are you thinking, the highlights today of what we've chatted about?
Wow, there's a cross section of that, but we were talking about Taipei for sure. We talked about what's your plan B, and I'm definitely going to work on my building my email list. I'm going to be very intentional on that. I think that is, you can't control what these platforms will do. They will kick you out. They will throttle you. And I just think that I gotta figure out the email thing, and I'm going to figure it out. But we talked about Substack. It's such fascinating. It's the hot thing right now, and it is on fire. And you know what they do? They also give you email addresses, right? Which is what we're all trying to figure that out. The other thing we talked about was, your energy and how do you guard it? How do you do it here online, whether LinkedIn, Facebook, or wherever? And we had a great conversation about, different views on how you handle it, and we're all different. And I think that's okay. There is no wrong answer. It's what works for you. And so we had I think that discussion for me was super meaningful because I love Lachelle's point of view. I love Americo's. I love Keith's point of view, Lynn's and Sherry's here. We all come from a different way, and we may have evolved over the years, and that's okay too. And we will be different tomorrow too. We may do a pivot. And so I really appreciate the space because you allowed different voices to be heard. You allowed different opinions, and we're all respectful of each other. Because I'll tell you this, out there in social media land, there is like, you know, Twitter's tough, believe me. Facebook, man, it's tough when your own friends are like, you're like, and you babysat my kids and you have this point of view. Oh my goodness. Yeah, like I'm alarmed. So, hey, it's good to know how people stand because I know you're not my ride or die.
It's very, very, very important. What do you think, Lachelle, the main points? I know we're keeping up way past your bedtime, but we always cover so much great material, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I agree with Bez with everything that he was saying. I think also the thing that I enjoy about these conversations is the relevance and the timing, because when we share from where we're at in whatever space that we're in currently, it's relevant for where we may be. And as you continue to grow and scale your brand, what might not be relevant today can be relevant next week or next month as you continue on that growth pattern. And so that's one of the things that I appreciate about hearing the different perspectives because that's just how business is. It's up and down, there's different timing, that we go through things. Like now, one of our last youngest child graduated from elementary school. So now we just have middle school and high school and college, right? And so we passed the threshold of elementary. So some things I share with other people is relevant for them for whatever timing that they're in. So I think that's important. I love being able to hear about growth, whether it's new technology, which I just laugh at myself because I hear you talking about the DX7 or all these different numbers, and I'm thinking, oh my Lord, I can't even comprehend it, right? Because I'm just not the tech person. But it's uh it's something that is interesting because as you grow in your business, you have a curiosity and you want to know more, how you can do better. Can I get a different tool? Can I use a different app? Can I do something else that's going to allow me to work smarter and maintain an energy and a level of excellence in the work that I do? So I just love the conversations because we're always growing and we're always learning. So that's my final thought.
Oh, did we lose Keith?
Lynn, you
We
are
are at
next.
that 3-hour mark.
Lynn, what did you think?
Oh gosh. Well, I love the conversation as always. It always leads to so many different ideas and from AI music to Substack to personal growth. It's all so good to hear, honestly. And I will say too, as far as Substack guys, it's still, it's the new thing, but I really do enjoy it. I mean, for now, I mean, I haven't noticed any. What I like about it too, it seems so positive. Now I'm saying that for now. I don't know, is that going to change? But for right now, it seems pretty nice. So.
I just lost the signal there, but I just before I lost the signal, Lachelle was talking about the DX7. And last week or a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to her very youngest child who was born in 2011. And I'm often thinking that when I talk about things that were passionately involved in my life, I think about them in historical context. Like the DX7 saved its folders to a floppy disk. Now, this seems laughable now, but at the time, 1983, this was the gadget to have. Right? It was the gadget. They were about $2,000 then. Right? And Duran and Ultravox and Flock of Seagulls and Devo, they all had this product called the DX7. Now, why that's very important is that as we talk now in 2025 about Substack and Suno, in 20 years' time, we're going to be thinking, remember when we all got really crazy about Substack? You know, we remember when, like 5 years ago, everyone was going crazy for the Blue Yeti. Everyone had to have a Blue Yeti because the Blue Yeti was a signature that you were cool, that you knew what you were talking about, and that if you had a Blue Yeti, you by default were awesome, right? In all honesty, they're not that good, but someone had created this amazing marketing campaign. Hopefully there's no one from Logitech listening right now. But overall, based on what I've learned recently, they're not that good. But someone created this amazing marketing campaign that everyone in the world had to have a Blue Yeti. And now you date yourself by having one because you're obviously part of that culture. So the DX7 was the thing of the 80s, you know, and we have these this is why I love these discussions, because I always look back on them and think whatever we're doing right now is what's happening right now. In 10 years' time, it will sound ridiculous. It will sound ridiculous. Remember when we used to do live streams on YouTube? YouTube? Man, that's like 50 years old, isn't it? Yeah, it is. But it was very cool then. And someone's got to go first. Someone's got to go first and plug it in, right?
Yeah.
So it's all about.
I just like the fact that we're building our own unique legacy. And we're sharing each other's narratives, past, present, and those who are planning for the future. We're sharing what our narratives are going to look like. And that's what I enjoy most about these conversations and these live events. You know, we're not worried about conforming to a 90-second video. We're not conforming to 9:16. We're doing what feels right for us. We are social pioneers to some degree. We're doing many things that go against the grain, and I touched on this in one of my posts yesterday. I'm okay going against the grain and not following the trends and following the top voices as to what I need to conform to be successful. I'm focusing on not only for myself, but for those who I'm here to support and help. And I'm going to say it, and we're going to play a song. Be seen, be heard, be remembered. And we are all in some shape or form looking to do what we believe is right for our communities so that we can be remembered, whether it's through our legacy, whether it's through our value that we bring as creators, as business owners, as just people. I just love what we're building here.
Yeah. Well, with that in mind, I'll play the radio hit. I've done 20 versions of this. This is a very good way to end. I'll play the radio hit. I don't think it's going to sound very good, but I think I've got it to work. I want you to imagine someone like Bryan Adams or Bon Jovi or Justin Bieber maybe standing on stage singing to 100,000 people. Right? It's the sort of the radio ballad hit. Have a listen to this.
Be seen, be heard, be remembered. Online events bring the world together, and the replays just go on forever.
Sing it with me.
Live streaming tech is ready. The mic and studio are set. Is the audience here yet? They better be. It's a show they will never forget. Hearts are racing, and this is the moment, the one we've been waiting to find.
Are you ready? Be seen, be heard, be remembered.
Events bring the world together.
And the replays go on forever.
Is your personal brand fading? The choice is online events, social authority rising, engaging vibes. Followers keep moving, your network stands still. We're chasing awareness, we're closing the deal.
Coming up to the bridge.
The engagement is heated. Fans call out your name.
Building now. Come on, sing it with me.
Sing, be heard, be remembered.
Oh, love it.
Online events bring the world together.
And the replays
Go on forever.
Forever.
Midnight.
Feels all the spark, audience the fuel you crave. They said it would never work, now you wanna
Go alive again.
no longer hide.
Now this is the cigarette lighter moment. Come on, dark room, cigarette lighters or phones. It's a swooner.
Be seen, be heard.
Remember, cigarette
Remembered.
online events bring the world together.
Together.
And the replays go on forever.
Forever.
Our chorus. Be seen, be heard, be remembered. Online events bring the world together. And the replays go on forever. Be seen, be heard, be remembered. And there it was on KKFM. Be seen.